Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome back to us here at Virtual Motorsports for the Platinum Split. The Gold Splits have started their new season. Here we are for season 4, and we kick things off at Fuji. Oh, we had a lot of fun with Fuji in previous seasons, and I very much look forward to more of the same. So as we see this wonderful track map doing its thing, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Chris Buxton. I was certainly with you lovely folks for season 3 and a little bit of season 2. Ed is still in the background. He's doing other things tonight. So I am joined by a longtime partner of mine in the box. Nathan Richards joins me. Good evening, Nathan.
Good evening, Chris. It feels, well, I could say too long if I'm being nice since we've been in the box. But no, it's great to be back alongside you, of course, here on Le Mans Ultimate. We was on F1 the last time we was together. Of course, one of the newer games in the scene, a very up-and-coming esports game as well. And, of course, we've had 3 seasons already, which have been very, very interesting and, I suppose, chaotic could be a word. So we're back for season 4, where we head to another track, which I think is brilliant. Fuji, I've commentated here a couple of times. I've driven here once or twice. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of action, especially then that very long straight.
Very much so indeed. This is how the calendar looks for season 4. We come back to 8 rounds, introducing 2 endurance rounds to this season. Was a bit of a shorter season last time out, just to sing out 2025 in style. So we have Spa and Le Mans as our endurance rounds. You can't go to Le Mans and not have an endurance round, let's be quite honest. So, very much looking forward to this. A wide variety of tracks, introducing Paul Ricard. And Monza has been seen in other splits. Paul Ricard, I'm not 100% sure has. So, very much looking forward to how our Platinum Split deal with festivities. A lot of returning names and a lot of new names as well to the Platinum Split. Some even new to VMS entirely. So, very, very much looking forward to this. Practice is done, and qualifying is just about to get underway. Now, again, it's the same qualifying format as last time around. It's a 25-minute session split in 2 10-minute chunks. The GT3s are lining up now, and as soon as the 25-minute counter hits, there we go. They should now be released. It is a new name to us, Mehdi Hamidani. Again, I will pronounce that 100 different ways, and I apologize for all of them. So new name to us here in the Platinum Split. He's in the Lamborghini, the Swiss driver. Nicholas Hubin is most certainly not a new name in these parts. Runner-up in the GT3 section last time around. There's Luke Whitehead, freed from his shackles at Ferrari Esports, no longer representing the brand. So therefore, he is no longer bound to the Ferrari. He has gone straight for the Mustang. Good to see that. There is Marin Bessier, our GT3 champion from last time out. So our GT3s will be on track for 10 minutes, and then there'll be a 5-minute crossover for our hypercars then to come out and do their 10-minute stint.
Indeed, of course. They've got to kind of get going quickly here. They haven't got long to kind of get into the groove of things. Of course, they had their practice session earlier on, but they've only got around, 10 minutes exactly to start their laps, or at least start their final run in a few minutes' time. So they're probably going to get 3 or 4 laps in here in this one. And of course, they've got to get them perfect. And these GT3 cars, one thing I love about them, and not just in LMU, but in many other games, is that because of how different each car is and the different characteristics, you never know, who to expect right up at the top. So things, every session will change of, knowing who's going to be right at the top of things. So I think we're going to get a very interesting qualifying session here for the GT3s as Luke Whitehead now heading through the final corner, heading down towards turn 1 to begin his first lap, as well as everybody else.
Absolutely. So Luke Whitehead running out of fuel within a few meters of the line last time we were here. So that will be very bitter in his mind as well. And also a disconnected Algarve in the opening round last season, at a round that he was sure to do well, if not win the session. But he is in the Mustang this time around. The now representing Tatum Res Tech in esports. So he will be very much keen to start his season 4 the right way. As we just come down through turn 3, the Coca-Cola corner, this long right-hander now. Oh, you can see how stiff the I need some McLaren there. The Mustang is, you see it's really bouncing as it's trying to hug the inside line to that long turn 4 and 5 or 100R into the hairpin. Oh, I remember there being a few impacts and spins there last time around. Turn 7, turn 8, turn 9 through 300R, and then heavy on the brakes into Dunlop. There were some very last-minute dives into this corner, mainly in our hypercar class last season. I'm sure we will face the same again. Turn 11, turn 12, keep the car nice to settle. Looks like the tail wants to get away from Luke. This car looks very, very lively indeed. 13, 14, and there were some impacts here that really changed the course of the race last time out. Into next corner at turn 15. Then it is just continue the sweeping roller coaster that is this circuit. Now Panasonic corner, the final turn number 16. Kiss the apex, wander over to the green bit as much as you dare, and then it is flat out what feels like for ages when you cross over the line.
Yeah, certainly. The start-finish line is halfway up the straight, which is over a kilometre already, and we can see the first lap times all coming through. It's Hamadani quickest at the moment, but of course everybody else has to set their first laps. Whitehead jumps into second place in that Mustang on what looks like a very lively lap for the Mustang car. I've driven it a couple of times, and it's not the most planted, I'll put it that way. But then again, I'm not the best at driving, so I don't think any car will feel that planted. For me, as Porteo up to third, we've got Huben fourth and Leiden in the top 5 at the moment. Of course, quite big gaps from the cars we've seen cross the line so far. But of course, as the session goes on and the more that the drivers get settled in, I'm sure those time gaps will come down slightly. The top 8 at the moment separated by just over a second to Herent. And of course, when it comes to racing in these GT3s, I think sector 3, you're looking at turn 10 through to 16. It's pretty much a no-go zone when it comes to overtaking. It's so difficult to get moves done there. So you're mainly looking at that first and second sector where you've got to push hard and make some of the daring moves into some of the hairpins and heavy braking zones.
Very true, but again, you can capitalize on someone's mistake easy enough, or back markers will play a role in these races. Even the shorter races, they're still 80 minutes long, so we saw plenty of times when the back markers were kind of wrong place, wrong time, and I'm sure we will see the same again as we are looking at last season's runner-up, Niklas Huben, in just coming through the final turn, purple sector 1 and 2, but of course that is comparative to what is on the board, not what everyone else is currently setting. Half of the qualifying session has already gone, so they cannot continue. They've got to really get out there and get on with it. And there we go. So whilst it was looking like a whitewash there for Niklas Huben, it was second. That's now become third. That's now become fourth, as we have a new pole sitter in the form of a new driver to us as well, of Portal. So that's the Lamborghini that is slotted into the top spot, but 8 thousandths ahead of Luke Whitehead, who's only 66 thousandths of Hamadani.
Very close, and that's what we love to see when we got the top 3, not even separated by a tenth of a second, around a 1 minute and 40 lap time. We'll see here what Julian Hinault can do. Decent in that middle sector, actually matches the best of them all, and that puts him up into P4. They're just over 2 tenths away and only 1,000th ahead of Niklas Huben as that Alexandre Lay heads up to the line. Where can he put his car? P9 in the Mercedes, so just jumps up inside the top 10, and as we said, as the session goes along, the gaps will shrink down, and it's only 6 tenths now separating the top 10. As here's Mehdi Hamadani, who once again is looking to put the pace down. Purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2 by a tenth and a half. This could be another barnstormer of a lap.
Absolutely so. So again, we're seeing much of what we saw last time around, where the times are so very close right from the very off. Less than 2 seconds separating our entire GT3 field at the moment. We haven't seen a lap yet from Manisha, but Mehdi Hamadani is looking set to reclaim that top spot, screaming along the start-finish line. Where was that starting a lap there? Well, Niklas Huben had briefly taken the top spot. Luke Whitehead, the first driver to get under 140 in the GT3s, and Portal jumps up to second. Look at all the names jumping around. Exactly what I'm referring to. Absolutely amazing. Barely over a second. I can't even speak properly. Barely over a second separates 13 of our 18 GT3s.
Indeed, and of course, heading into racing, that is exactly what we want. Everybody's so close together. on pace as we got Malkera up into 7th. We've got Lydon up to 6th. Ramone as well, jumping up into the top 5, 3.5 tenths away. And then, of course, a great lap by Luke Whitehead, the first driver, or one of the first drivers into the 139s there with a 139.795, a tenth. 1.8 tenths quicker than Herent in second, and then another 10 thousandths behind is Porte. So very close times at the moment. The top 16 are separated by less than 3/4 of a second, with Neil being there at the moment. And then finally, Manisha has set a lap on the board, but of course has to try and improve on that time. 2.5 seconds off. He's not where you really expect to be. And here is Luke Whitehead, fractionally down in sector 1 and sector 2, but of course, if he continues on here, maybe he's got something left in sector 3 just to try and edge out that gap a little bit more than he has already.
We will see. We saw how lively that Mustang was looking when we were riding on board with Luke. Great to see a lot of activity in chat as well. We're seeing lots of cheers for various drivers. I see Go Heno, Whitehead in the Mustang. Yeah, that is really messing with my head because I've been so used to seeing Luke Whitehead in a Ferrari for so long. So that is an interesting one to see. Let's go Medi as well. Lots of excellent calling out. Great to see everybody joining in. That's another thing that's really messing with my mind is seeing the Falcon livery on a McLaren. That is really confusing me at the moment, but I'm loving it.
You're one step ahead of me, Chris, because I don't recognise half of the liveries. I don't recognise half of the cars. So you've got a lot more than I have here to work with. I'm still trying to figure out who's who, never mind who's on what livery.
Fair comment, well made. You are allowed to play catch-up. This is your first time with us, Nathan, so fear not. We have got a new pole sitter. Again, how many times has this pole changed hands? By 85,000, it's Alexis Herod in the Lamborghini. 139.710, just knocking the Brit off the top spot. Just 25 seconds before the virtual checker flag will fall on this qualifying session. So anyone that has started their lap will be allowed to finish it, but they are not allowed to start another lap once that 15-minute time has elapsed. Then they can complete their laps, get off the track, and then our hypercars will then take to the track. 18 cars. I mean, that's just our GT3 field. We're in for a big field tonight. Nicholas Hubin, purple sector 1, but doesn't look like he's going to peel in to the pits in the McLaren. Or is he? I always kind of wonder because some people toy with us. They take that line to the right and then just barrel over it. And that's another thing. Yeah, Thomas Lydon showing the Mercedes. I don't recall we saw the Mercedes whatsoever last time out. So it's good to see pretty much all of the brands being represented. I love seeing that, the diversity in the cars, as well as the liveries, as well as the drivers.
Yeah, certainly. And I think the GT3s, we always get some sort of disparity, but we've got so many different hypercars out there as well. I think we've got pretty much every hypercar, bar 1 or 2, featured here this season, which will be great to see. Of course, we've got a couple of Ferraris, we've got a Toyota, one we don't see often, an Alpine, a Cadillac, the BMW, the Porsche, the Peugeot, the Aston Martin, pretty much all of them that you can name. And then the same goes again here in the GT3 class. I think you've got pretty much every car here as well. Of course, here's Alexander Hanna, who's in the Lexus, a car we don't often see in this class. We've got, I think, another one, which is Remy Delorme as well in the Lexus. So 2 of those taking that car. And let's see what Alexander Hanna can do here as he heads his way up to the line. It's decent sector 2 and sector 1. Where does that pop him up to? I think it's just inside the top 10.
It has indeed, yes. Alexander Hanna has pulled the car over. Absolutely fine. You don't have to circulate the track to return to the pit lane. But there it is. So our GT3 field has now been set, assuming there is nobody else still out on track. So it's Alexis Herod in the Lamborghini representing the French esports team ERE Race. They are absolutely brilliant. Really good representation for, I don't think it's pronounced Erie. I think it's ERE. So Alexis Herron has the top spot. Luke Whitehead joins him on the front row. And then it's Heno and Portal. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation of a lot of these names. Have the second row. Nicholas Huber and Thomas Lydon have row 3. And the gap has now disappeared. And again, 80 is a perfect 50-50 split of GT3s and hypercars. Oh, now you bring it back, Nicholas Domino in charge of the cameras, by the way, doing a wonderful job. Now, for those that may be new, there will be certain anecdotes that will be said about Mr. Domino hiding the interface. We have worked together for many, many years, and that is what he loves to do to torment me. You have been educated. But look at that. With the exception of one of our GT3s, everybody within a second of each other. Absolutely brilliant to see.
That's what we love to see, isn't it? And it's not even just within a second, it's within 9/10 as well. 8.6 separates from the top 17. And I'm sure Manisha has got some pace to be right up there as well. Just couldn't get their qualifying going well. But if you want to look at the gaps even closer, look at like likes of Huben P5 down towards Barriere in P12. That's only like, what, 10th and a half, nearly 2/10. So the midfield, I think, here in this class is also going to be something to keep an eye on. And I think with the way that the pit stops work in this game, where you've got, drivers who take different levels of fuel, they choose to take different tyres at a pit stop. I think with the fact they're so close here now, that's going to make that strategy even more crucial, because you're not going to have seconds and seconds between everybody. Most of them are going to be within a second or two. So it's going to be good to keep an eye on strategy heading into the race as well, knowing that they are going to be so close together. But in around 15 seconds' time, we will see the hypercars make their way out on track, and we'll see what they can manage to put on the board.
You mean 1 minute 15 seconds, because it's the 10-minute counter.
Oh,
each class has a no, but again, just to clarify, so each category has 10 minutes of track time.
Yeah.
The game session starts at 25 minutes, or just slightly over, to allow everybody to connect and get it in. And for the first 10 minutes, it is the GT3s, and then there is that 5-minute crossover, and the hypercars are now beginning to form at the end of the pit lane. And then our hypercars have 10 minutes, so no one class has any advantage over the other. Luca Thingard, yes, you have correctly spotted, as I was pointing out earlier, Luke Whitehead is not a Ferrari driver anymore. He is not in the Ferrari esports camp, so that is why he is able to drive something else, and drive something else he certainly is. Right, hypercars then starting to get into position. So now it's 15 seconds before the field results. Also, ladies and gentlemen, me and Nathan Richards have worked together many, many times over, and we will mock each other.
Oh yeah, of course.
Throughout the entire season. Some habits never change, even though it's been a long time since we have shared a box. Far, far too long. Some habits never change. Right, away go our hypercars. So who is that at the front? Trying to spot the number, because Mr. Domino's hidden the interface. It is car number 110. That is Richie. That's Michi Hoyer. That is out there in the Alpine. Again, there's the Falcon colors again. That minty bluish color fading into the dark blue. So yeah, an unusual selection. I think we saw one Alpine last time around, and it wasn't towards the sharper end, so an interesting choice for Mitty. But there is our double champion, Fabio Grigoletto. He had it all to do. He was not all his own way last time around for Fabio, but good to see him with us. And there is Yoni Simitic in the Aston Martin, in the green. We saw Ada Erchan, Kobe Chan as well. I don't believe he's with us this season. Do wonders in that car. Now, there's a new driver to us. Now, you did ask Paul how to properly pronounce his name. Please remind me how it is properly said.
Paul Puo.
Puo, there we go. And again, Paul, I apologize in advance. I will say it 300 different ways. So, Paul Puo, right, I must remember that is the way.
We got there in the end.
Fabio, it looks like he is going to be the one to lead the charge. Although he wasn't first out of the pit lane, but he has decided he's going to be the first to light up the timings. So we will see him in about 1.5 minutes when he crosses the line. Let's see what the champion can do. He's opted for the Cadillac this time around. He's in the Tatum Esports camp. He's a platinum split in the Ferrari last time around. I think he was in the Ferrari before that as well. Let's see what he can do. He was third last time we were here. Let's see what he can do this time.
Of course, and it's a very long lap around here. I think we're looking at around the low, I think like 1 minute 20s, 1 minute 30s race track in this car. So we'll just have to see what Grigoletto can do to open up the session. Of course, through towards the middle sets now at the hairpin, a very tight left-hander. Then, of course, on the exit straight back onto the power as you bring your way through turns 7, 8, and 9, which to me is just one long corner. And of course, this is where we get to the section of the track where it's very, very difficult to make any moves. So it's just about following cars through here or trying to force drivers into making mistakes. Of course, you can see the Fuji mountain, I presume that's what it's called, in front of us as we make our way through in towards the final few corners of the lap, turn 15 at Neps Corner. And then, of course, my favourite corner name, Panasonic Corner, only because I know they make TVs, so I actually know what Panasonic is. At the final corner of the circuit at turn 16, then it's the very long run down towards turn 1, which I believe, Chris, you might know this better than me. You've been around a lot longer. This is the longest run down to turn 1 around any circuit, isn't it?
Certainly one of, if not the longest. Yes, indeed. You're right. I'm old enough to remember that Panasonic used to make phones. Not very good ones, but they did used to make phones a long time ago. First time on the board then, Grigoletto, 127.6. Mitty Hoyer a little bit further back. Let us see how the table, or how the tower, that's the right word, is going to form. We've got Simoncic a couple of tenths off the back of our current champion. There is Puo. It was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Puo.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul. There will be times I will just chicken out and call him Paul. I will say that right now. Someone in chat, I do want to make special mention of Luca Thingard. Luca did a great job of keeping me on the straight and narrow last season. I very much expect the same again, sir.
Well, at least you have to want to. At least I can have some help in the chat. Then is that what you're saying? Keep an eye on the chat, and I can see what's going on.
Well, I mean, I try and keep an eye on the chat as well. I also saw my lovely girlfriend's daughter also said hi and good luck to us. Thank you very much, Kenzie. That was very kind of you. As we see Dario Yamillo on track in his, so he has stuck with the car he had last time around, his beloved Ferrari. Although he's wearing car number 50, that is not the number I have for him. I have him as car number 28, but I have him as 28.
So his number's 28, but he's using the in-game livery.
Good point. Yes, good point well made. But either way, he's in the right car. I do remember that Mr. Domino was, who I will say does a great job of handling liveries and what have you. There was somebody I seem to remember had the wrong livery selected pretty much all season, and it was something that used to get under your skin, was it not, Mr. Domino? Not that you can hear him on stream. Probably good sometimes. Yeah. Right, enough waffle, Buxton, for God's sake. Right, so Grigoletto still at the top of the tree. It is Jimmy Menard that is slotted into second position with a new name to this split. Marco Canter in the Porsche, the Italian from Lane Racing. Nick Gamble has jumped to the top, the German driver. We did see Gamble a few times last season. No, big one. We didn't see him in last season. It was the season before. It was the season 2 that we saw Henri Gamble in the Ferrari. He is in the Cadillac this time and currently has the top spot narrowly from Jimmy Menard, who's just improved his time over Fabio Grigoletto. Again, very, very close times once more.
Certainly, we've got De Buono as well up into P4. As here is Michi Hoyer. Not the best sector to a second off there, so I presume it's calm down and go again for another lap. As here's Sven Gilhu, do I hope I pronounced that name correctly. That's what I'm going to struggle with. I've always had a thing for Dutch names. I don't know what it is, but I can't pronounce them for the life of me. As we also have Ada Erchan here as well on his outlap, and just commented on Michi Hoyer, a driver that I actually got to meet back in October at the Sim Racing Expo. Brilliant guy. Had a few drinks together along with others, so I think one of the nights he was quite ill the next morning. Let's put it that way.
Oh dear.
Yeah, great guy. Brilliant guy, and of course was flexing on everybody on the rigs at the Sim Expo. Was going faster than everybody, so I thought there was no point trying to beat him because he was like 3 seconds quicker than me at some of them. So yes, it was a difficult time for me to try and assert my speed.
I can only imagine. By the way, I'm highly jealous that I couldn't go to the Sim Racing Expo. We did see Brandon Geitz there, new driver to us here in Platt, 4th in gold last time out, in the same car that he is brandishing, the Peugeot 9X8. As we look at another name that I am likely not to get right, Mathis Leitao in the Cadillac, one of our ERE race contingents. New entrant, I believe, to us here at VMS. I couldn't find any previous racing results, so welcome to you. I mean, what a great entrant straight into the Platinum tier. There are a few drivers that are taking part this season that are straight into plat. So there are qualifying rounds that happen, of course, leading up to the season. They're not just picked from a hat. There is some order in the chaos, so I promise you that. But look at that. Mathis Leitao straight into plat and into the top 5, just 0.3 off of Gamble at the moment. So still plenty of time to come in, but not much time left to get those times on the board.
Certainly not. We'll see what Leitao can do now. Heading through into the final corner. 3.5 tenths away at the moment, but of course, if it was a decent set to 3, that could come down to around a tenth away from that pole position spot. So let's see what Mathis Leitao can do as he makes his way up to the line. Time to beat to 127.3, and he goes into 3rd place with a 127.483. Great lap there by Matthias Leitao. Goes ahead of our champion from last season, Fabio Grigoletto, who's now down to 4th place. And here's Sven Gilhood as well, making his way through on his first lap this session. Him and Erchan are yet to set lap times in this one. And with 1.5 minutes to go, they've probably got this lap and next lap, and that's it. So they've got to do something quickly, otherwise they are guaranteed to be starting down at the back of the field here.
Now, whilst it is a 80-minute race, they do have time to kind of recover from a bad quali or a potential mistake, but that 80 minutes will disappear. And in a field this close, you do not want to be giving yourself a disadvantage to start with, as we watch Michi Hoyer in the Alpine, in the Falcon-flavoured Alpine. Currently down in 16th, but looks set to make an improvement on this lap. So Michi Hoyer is a name synonymous with a variety of different racing sims over the years. Was in the BMW last time around, finished 6th in the championship, was 2nd here last time around, which was his best finish of the season. So it was an improvement in time, but not position for Michi. Within a second of the top spot, but remains in 16th.
Yeah, and that's not ideal at all, especially when you know there's probably not much more you can do to work your way up the field. I mean, he's 2.5 tenths away from Biela in 15th. So Michi Hoyer, if he can get another lap in this session, has got a lot of work to do to try and climb up the field, as Erchan will not be setting a time here in qualifying, as went into the pit lane. So not good at all there for the Turkish driver Arda Erchan. And here's Sven Gilhood, who's around a 10.5 off through the first 2 sectors. So could be looking to try and solidify himself up into the top 5, maybe a little bit lower than that. We'll have to see what he can do now as he makes his way out of Panasonic corner and then up towards the line.
Checker flag is now out. Where can Sven Gilhood get himself? The Dutch driver, this time in the Alpine. He's left the Cadillac behind that got him 4th in the championship. It's 6th on the board. So, what was it? About half a tenth. About a tenth, beg your pardon, away from Marco De Bueno, who is in 5th position. That denies him a top 5 spot. Can Michi Hoyer get a better time on the board? We'll have to see when he crosses over the line. But Henri Gamble, wow, one and done. I'm not sure that time changed in the course of the session. Bear in mind, the opening lap was a 27.6 that we saw on the board. So Grigoletto did improve on his time, but remains in 4th. Our champion not at the front where we might expect. And there we go. So Michi Hoyer brought the car back in. Everybody, with the exception of Arda Erchan, within a second. Our hypercar field, very, very close in the top split. It is Henri Gamble from Jimmy Menard, our front row for our hypercars. We will run through the grid once the session transits. But there we go. Oh, make up your mind. Which graphic you want? There we go. So that is our GT3 line. It is Alexis Herrod and Luke Whitehead on the front row. Julian Heno and Adrian Portal on row 2, Nicholas Hubin and Thomas Leiden on row 3, Patrick Schindler and Axel Ramone, I think that is pronounced. Again, my apologies if not. Christian Malgera and Alexander Hanna have row 5. We're not even half a second from that top spot yet. Mehdi Hamadani and Valentin Barrier have row 6. Marius Pedersen and Alexandre Lay. Now we have an Alexander and an Alexandre. Again, apologies, gents, when I get that the wrong way around. They have row 7. Marin Bessier and Jules Neal have row 8. And Nicholas Lemoyne and Artem Manisha have that final row. For our hypercars, as mentioned, is Henrik Gamble and Jimmy Menard, not even half a tenth apart as they finish their lap. So it is Gamble from Menard on row 1, Matthias Leitao and Fabio Grigoletto on row 2. Marco De Bueno and Sven Gilhut have row 3. Dario Yemelo and Marco Cantor have row 4. Moritz Ulrich and Giuseppe De Noia on row 5. Again, still not half a second. Separates our top 10. Johannes Price and Brandon Geitz on row 6. Yoni Simoncic and Leonardo Pisoni on row 7. Paul see, I've forgotten already. What is it? Puo. See, I did that bad a job that Nick's already rotated the board on. Don't blame him at all. Right, in chat, let us know. Let us know who you're here to support. Who are you here cheering on? There's already lots of cheers that have happened. Full push eSport race team. Yep, love that as well. Are you here to support a team? Are you here to support a driver? Let it be known in chat. Let us see who you are here cheering on. So 80 minutes then will be the first race of what is set to be a fantastic season.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's going to be a great one. Of course, I'm here for half the season. Ed's here for half the season. I think we actually interchange. I do all the odd rounds, so rounds 1, 3, 5 and 7. I think Ed does 2, 4, 6 and 8. So we get half each. And of course, Chris, I think you're here for the full season. So you get to see everything that goes on throughout this one. And it will be a good season. Looking at the calendar, every track there produces brilliant overtaking, brilliant racing. And then, of course, really close qualifying and Fuji as well, already delivering that. Very close in the hypercar category. I think it was the top 15 was separated by less than 5.5 tenths of a second. And then in the GT3s, I think it was about 8 tenths was the top 15. So very, very close between everybody here in qualifying. And then, of course, heading into the race, it's where we can see some of the race merchants come alive. Some of those that might not be as quick in qualifying can try and field their way through the order early on in this one. Of course, 80 minutes of racing. It's a long race, so there's many, many opportunities that can be made. But I also think first couple of laps, don't be going for heroics. There's no need to.
You know as well as I. Tell that to a racing driver. No. Good to see the support coming out. Callum Cripps, a familiar name around these parts. Good to see you, sir. We've seen Callum on the field before now. What does it take to participate? Well, check out the links in the videos and sign up, get involved, and you may well have us lunatics shouting about your on-track antics in the coming seasons. Right, so short rolling lap then. The GT3s do start a distance behind the hypercars to give us an opportunity. We never fully talk about all the action going on the hypercars by the time the GT3s start, but it is Henrik Gamble and Jimmy Menard ready to lead us away. Also, point of note, the reason why the commentary team is split half and half is how much that they are spreading the load of dealing with me. That's what it actually is. Because well, yeah, I don't blame you, frankly. Yeah, don't blame you.
On and off.
Well, yeah, you're poisoned enough, right? So let us see then how this transposes. Such a long way when you're crawling like that. You can imagine the nerves. All the preparation leads to this. Let us see then how. I think somebody said not a repeat of last year. It was pretty chaotic into someone. Right, they have dropped the hammer. They're screaming towards the line. We are racing here in Fuji. Lots and lots of side-by-sides from both of our hypercar and GT3 contingent. It is, well, Grigoletto's had a pretty good start, 4th to 2nd. Oh, there's locking up. That's never what you want to see. What is lots of tire smoke. No major detonations just yet coming through the first few turns. But it does look like Henrik Gamble has made a great start. But it's Leitao that has gone up into 2nd. So, well, still side by side with Grigoletto. Oh, Leitao's managed to hold on to that. We have got a yellow flag. Has something happened with that? Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Is that Brandon Geitz that is in trouble? Let's have a replay of it. So, side by side of Michi Hoyer and Brandon Geitz, the two German countrymen. What has happened here? Oh, a bit hard. Yep, squeezed on the back of the Aston. Car number 7 catapulted into the wall. Oh, you never want to see it, but that is such a shame. 4th place in the gold split, maiden race in the platinum split has not gone round for Brandon Geitz.
No, it certainly has not. And of course, looking here at the GT3 class, it's still Alexis Herrens who is in the lead, as this is the battle here with Heno and Porte for third and fourth as they head their way through to end that opening lap shortly here for the 1 hour and 20-minute race, or 80 minutes if you prefer it that way. And then a little bit of battling as well in the midfield between some of these GT3s, but a very good start at the front there for Herrens and Whitehead to have around a 7/10 gap over the third and everybody else behind. And then of course as we go back towards the hypercars now as they make their way down towards the first corner, we'll see who's looking to make moves here. I think Kuro was looking to go for a move. There's a couple of cars going 2 or 3 wide here into that first break. His own Jurne Simoncic is looking to go ahead into 12th place, does get ahead. Great move indeed.
Great move from the Slovenian driver. He's no shy of any battle. As we see, oh, that's deep from Herrens. Luke Whitehead has put the pressure on, made the mistake happen, and in the Mustang leads the way in the GT3 field. So Alexis Herrens was just a little bit too deep going into turn 1, into Daichi corner. A little bit of a gap forming from the top 2 to the rest of the field, as that's Huben and Portal side by side. Niklas Huben, again, we've seen Niklas many times over. But Adrian Portal still not giving, no one giving any room, any quarter. The McLaren has that inside line. Oh, Portal had to really be careful, as right behind him is, I think it's Axel Ramon. That is right behind Portal, knocking on the door of the top 5. But yeah, everybody in the GT3s, so far so good.
Indeed, and you can see here Adrian Porte under pressure from Axel Ramone, who's got Thomas Schleiden behind as well. Very close between our GT3s here as we head onto that second lap through into the final couple of corners here. We'll see what Ramone can do here in that McLaren, looking to go ahead of the Lamborghini as we head back down towards turn number 1 as well with our hypercars. De Bueno and Gilhood having a battle in towards turn 1. Of course, you can see there the light blue car of Gilhood, and then behind the white and red Tatum car is Marco Di Buono as we make our way back down towards Coca-Cola corner. But a really good start there from Henrik Gamble to go ahead of Leitao. And of course, I think it was that slight bit of contact we saw between Leitao and Grigoletto which gave the chance for Gamble to run away with it, as here in the Mercedes is Thomas Leiden looking to make the move into turn 1 to go ahead of Axel Ramone. It's going to be a dive to the inside line here for the Mercedes, but chooses to sit back for now, and I think would rather go for it in a little bit of a, I'd say, a more safer opportunity. But I've got to say, I love that green camo livery on Leiden's car.
It's good, isn't it? That is a really lovely livery for Thomas Leiden. He was in the Lexus last time around, and he has gone to the Merc alongside Valentin Berrier and Alexandre Lay. Also choosing the German mark as we ride on board with Sven Gilhut. No, we're not. It's Fabio Grigoletto, beg your pardon. Now in third position, chasing the back of Leitao for another spot up the podium, but that is allowing Henrik Gamble just to ease away a little bit. We'll see what he's able to do. Yes, indeed, correct. Thomas Leiden did indeed win this race in GT3s in the Lexus last time around. Sadly, his only win of the season. His season was really mixed last time around, but certainly not here. Thomas Leiden was the cream of the crop. Oh, there's Grigoletto having a look on the inside line, but can't get the power down on Leitao. So the Cadillac winning out. Again, another one of our eerie racy sport teams. A new entrant to us here at VMS is Matthias Leitao. Look at the top of the GT3s. We see Luke Whitehead already building nearly a second's gap between himself and the Lamborghini of Alexis Herrens.
Indeed, as we make our way back down towards turn 1 once again, and the gaps at the front now starting to become a bit more of a gap here. As you can see, nearly a second between Whitehead and Herrens. Heno is around 7.5 tenths back. And of course, we have got Lodon again, who's looking for the move up the inside in towards turn 1 to go ahead of Ramone. A bit of contact as they make their way through the corner, and I think Valentin Barriere as well is involved. He's trying to go through, but it was a bit of a dicey move there from Thomas Leiden. Gets the move complete, and this is a replay again. Down towards turn 1, it was a bit of a late dive to the inside, and somewhere behind it was Barriere who I think got involved too, and I think it was a fact of the 777 there turned in a little bit too early and hit the back left of Leiden's car, and of course had a bit of contact, and both of them I don't think were too happy about that one. But move complete there for Thomas Leiden, goes up into P6, and then of course now it's It's be Valier trying to get ahead of Ramone, and further behind we've got Alexander Hanna looking to go ahead of Patrick Schindler.
Oh no, that's no! That could have gone horribly wrong. I was expecting a bit of a domino effect there. No, Nick, I don't mean you. You keep everything under control there, sir. Oh, but side by side though, that's Hamadani and Marin Bessier that were having an argument, along with Marco de Boido and Sven Geerhout. This is exactly what we had a lot of last season, just battles all the way through the field. And that's unfortunate. Our first retirement of the season has occurred. It's Brandon Goetz in the Peugeot, has parked it. Following that, it wasn't even a big tap on the back of the Aston, but sadly, it sent him into the wall. So no further part from the German driver. As we look at Giuseppe De Noia arguing with Jimmy Menard for 7th position. We'll see how that one turns out. So people should start to settle into their rhythms, but there's so many cars so close together that there's just going to be constant pressure application. They do have to keep an eye on their fuel gauge, though. Much like last season, the hypercars cannot run out of virtual energy. They will be penalized stop plus 100 seconds. So, over a minute and a half stationary for. If they do run out of virtual energy, there were several people that really played Russian roulette with their fuel tanks last season. We'll see if Eddie chooses to do the same. So Jimmy Menard staying in the slipstream of Giuseppe De Noia. As we switch to the front of our hypercars, Henrik Gambol with 1 and a bit seconds over Fabio Grigoletto, who's worked his way up to second.
Indeed, and not going too good at all, is it, for the Falcon team, as both Arda Erchan and Mickey Hoyer down at the back of the field, pretty much in 16th and 17th, because, of course, ahead of them is Johannes Priest, who I believe was the Season 3 champion in the goal split last season. So moving his way up in towards the Platinum Series, and of course sometimes it takes drivers a couple of races just to get fine-tuned into the category. So I'm sure over the rounds we'll see Johannes Priest move his way up the field as it goes, and here's a battle in the midfield again, as now Menard is looking to get that move done. We've got Passoni as well behind this battle in 9th place, so he's also going to try and mug off a couple of these ahead of him potentially, as Menard got up the inside. Oh, that was a bit of a late dive, and I think luckily backed out at the right moment, and for now still stays in 8th place. As here's a battle for 3rd. It's Huben and Henno into turn 1. Nobody looking for the dive, but eventually, with it being such a long run into the first corner, if you're not too careful on the brakes, you end up forcing yourself into a dive bomb, don't you? Because of how high speed you are heading into that braking zone.
Oh, flash of the lights there from Nicholas Huben. He's not happy about something, it would seem. But everything looked fine from our perspective, but we don't know what exactly he's flashing about, as he continues to chase Julian Henno right behind him. I think that's Adrian Portal that is behind. Watching back then from Henno's car. So we're on board with the third place car with that ever persistent McLaren bearing eyes into his soul. What was Huben in? Was he? Oh, never mind. I was going to see what car Huben was in last time around. He's had a big old look on the inside of turn 10. Impact between the two. The problem we're trying to move there is he had the outside for 11, inside for 12. He's hung on to it, but the Lamborghini's not letting Nicholas Huben have any quarter. Stays to the inside line, keeps the position for now. Julian Henno, well defended. Brilliantly driven from both of them. They remain as they are, but that battle is very, very lively. As Henrik Gambol now has his mirrors completely full of the Italian of Fabio Grigoletto, and I think our hypercars are now catching the back of the GT3s. Yes, so it is now traffic management for our hypercars.
And this is the worst moment here for Henrik Gambol, of course, has now somehow lost over a second and a half to Fabio Grigoletto. Of course, you can see as well that gap back to Leitao is now to 3 seconds. And of course, with the GT3s being caught up, Gambol does not want to be held up here and give the opportunity to Fabio Grigoletto to take the lead. He's got a great run here down towards turn 1. Is it enough to go for the move? Gambol could be left mugged here into turn 1. I think you can see Grigoletto going for the move slightly, had to back out of that one. And I think either way, Gambol was a little bit hesitant into that first braking zone. Keeps the lead, and then here behind the battle for 5th place, it's Leitao who's been done down towards turn 1. He's dropped 2 places now as De Buono's into P3, and Thomas Lauder's round at turn 3, and nearly taken a couple of the hypercars with him.
Well, that was the battle that Niklas Hubin was in. This was for a potential podium, or was podium contention, but just taps the back of the Lamborghini. Round he went and somehow avoided impact with everybody else. But he's just going to wait and wait and wait for what feels like an age for a gap to come out right at the back. The GT3 contingent is Thomas Leiden. As pointed out in chat, thank you, Nicholas Hubin wasn't a Mustang last time around, and he was our runner-up in the GT3s. This is not the way he would want his season to begin, as we now ride on board with Matthias Latau, who has lost the position to Dario Yamalo. That is fifth position now in the hands of the Ferrari. But this is where things get very, very interesting. The GT3s, as the slower class, are not obliged and indeed not encouraged to jump out of the way. They just have to hold the line and be predictable. Let the hypercars figure their own way past, as Dario Yamalo is trying to find a bit of additional traction from somewhere. We're running on board with the Italian, or briefly, as he's chasing his countryman, Marco De Bono. They've got 2.7 seconds to close down to the top two.
They certainly have, and of course, try not to get involved with a couple of GT3s here into turn one, but I think either way they're going to have a few of them on their outside line as they head onto the brakes into the corner. Of course, Leitao is losing out, and Yamelo then nearly being taken out by one of the Lexuses there as they make their way through the first couple of corners. We've got Denoyer as well, and Personi trying to get through on the Mercedes. Oh dear me, that was close to contact indeed, as that was Denoyer going through. Of course, behind him is Leonardo Personi. Then ahead of those two is Matthias Leitao. I'm not sure if he's got any damage or some issue there, because he was up in third and now down to sixth place and really under pressure now from those in seventh and eighth. So it's not going too good here for Matthias Leitao as we make our way through in towards turn number 9 and 10 into the braking zone. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, Chris, into that third sector where there's GT3s and the hypercars, which I don't think can even go side by side through this section.
Well, it's brave as the brave if you do, because they're not going through these corners at a great rate of knots. They can't rely on their aerodynamic efficiency. So it is a case of you just pick a bit of track and hope that the slower class has spotted you. Now look ahead, a few cars ahead of us. We're riding on board with, I believe, is Marin Bessier, as we're seeing the hypercars literally going both sides of the traffic to prevent themselves being slowed down. Anytime you're trying to lap a car, the last thing you need is for them to be having their own argument with someone, because they're concentrating on their own battle, not on the fact that there's faster cars coming up. As Henrik Gamble is really feeling the pressure. He's gotten clear of the traffic, and he's dragged Fabio Grigoletto along for the ride. The Italian's glued to the tail of the German, but they've opened up 3.7 seconds to their chasers. Marco De Buono next in line.
Indeed, and I think if Gamble didn't have loads, I think if Gamble had less space than he does now, Grigoletto would have gone for a send and would have gone for a dive bomb. But I think with the fact they've got a 3-second gap to De Buono and those behind, as long as Gamble isn't slowing down Grigoletto too much, he's probably not too bothered about just sitting behind the back of the leader of the race and then go for the move when it's a really big opportunity. Because if he goes for a send from a couple of tenths back and he locks up, or maybe Gamble doesn't see him coming, then sometimes that can be race over, or at least you dropping down the field. And having a look here at the top left at the energy here and the fuel, it's 73% for most of them. And now, Chris, you're probably going to be able to work a little bit more than me about that there for the hypercars, but around 73%, I think it's pretty clear it'll be a one-stop race here.
Pretty much, yes. Interesting to see that Cantor's gone for a slightly different tyre strategy. The front left is a different compound to the rest. Now, the yellow is the medium compound. I think the red is the soft compound or the hard compound. I'm not 100% sure how it's displayed. It is the hard compound. I didn't think anybody was running soft compounds. As Grigoletto has sized up the move, exactly as you were saying there, Nathan. He's timed it. He didn't need to force the move. I think Henrik kind of saw it coming, didn't try and defend fresh air, and through goes the champion into the lead of the race. Now Henrik Gamble just needs to stay in the tyre tracks of the Italian. Again, coming back to what I was saying about the tyre compound, everybody bar one has gone for mediums all round, except for Cantor that's decided to have the front left as a hard compound tyre. Again, complete. There's no rules or regulation on what compound they run in which corner of the car. But we had a bit more variety than that last season. It's interesting. All bar one has gone for the uniform strategy. But we'll see if Fabio Grigoletto is able to dance off into the sunset. As we look a little bit further downfield in our GT3s, Marius Pedersen and Jules Neal. Jules from season 2. That was the last time we saw Jules. He was in the Alpine in season 2. I seem to remember he really struggled with that car, but he's in the GT3 class this time, representing Oplight Esports. Is the French driver. He's continuing to chase Marius Pedersen in the very fetching Lamborghini. We'll see if he's able to make he's a little bit more comfortable with the GT3 machinery than he was with the Alpine. Now, it does look like there's spits of rain on the camera. That's not rain, that is dirt. And dirt and moisture being thrown from the car ahead. So we're not seeing any inclement weather yet. Doesn't mean we won't, but opening just yet.
No, they certainly are not. And I think if it did rain, that would make many more drivers' evenings a hell of a lot harder. As Alexandre Lay's looking to go ahead of Jules Neal, who a moment ago was looking to go up into P11 here. So sometimes if you don't make the move time, it does put you pressure from others behind. As Alexandre Lay here has got a great run down towards turn 1 to go for 12th place and move up another spot in the Mercedes. It's side by side down towards turn 1 as further ahead as well being made. Lake goes through into 12th, and then of course we have Bessier going through as well into P10 ahead of Pedersen, or at least looking to go ahead of Marius Pedersen as we head back down towards turn 1 again on the replay here. Let's see what happened. So I think it was Bessier who was under pressure here, wasn't it, into the braking zone?
Yeah, that's Marin. Well, no, that's Marin Bessier and the Mustang actually getting past the Lamborghini. So we saw 2 positions change hands there in the same spot. Look at this. We're nearly 20 minutes in, and fully 10 minutes in, and the GT3 field are so closely from about 4th downwards. Absolutely amazing to see as we look now at Mathis Leitao and Leonardo Pisoni. So 2 new names to the Plat division. Interesting flash of the lights going on in the background there. Not entirely sure why that is the case, but Leonardo, the Italian driver for Tatum in the BMW, he is continuing to chase the 276 car of Mathis Leitao. Again, I'm sure I will pronounce everybody's name many, many ways. The Frenchman in the Cadillac, one of our ERE race contingent. As I've seen several times the ERE team shouted out in chat, so good to see. But yeah, by now people are kind of settling into a rhythm. But when you've got someone that is really, really close, it's difficult not to kind of keep pushing the issue and try and get that position. Speaking of positions, so Grigoletto is absolutely vanishing up front. He's already built up 2 seconds. Is that going to pay dividends for him, or is that going to cost him a little bit later on? We will have to see.
Indeed, I think this does put Grigoletto into a really good spot here, as long as he can keep just bringing that gap higher and higher. Of course, it also means when we head to the pit stops, it gives him a little bit of help when it comes to, maybe going a lap earlier or a lap later than others, or, what sort of changes he makes with the fuel, how much he fuels up by. What's that car smoking? That's not good, is it?
It's Campbell. That's a second place runner. It's when I saw someone say he is smoking, I thought I was thinking, are you actually meaning they're doing well? That's not normally a good sign, but there is trouble for coming out of the center of the car. Yes, you would certainly assume so. He's not locking up all over the place. He's still keeping the foot down. So potential trouble for Henrik Gamble. It's hot, so he's overheating. It's the engine overheating. So he's pushed very hard to keep Grigoletto behind him, but he's going to have to really back off now, and that is going to be very, very costly for him as time goes on.
Oh, he needs to cool the engine down nice and quickly. But I've never seen that happen before. So that's quite a bizarre one to see indeed. As here we go back down towards turn 1 again here with our GC3. So we're still all so close together here. As here's Alexandre Lake looking to go ahead of Marius Pedersen and go up into P11 here. Another move on the cards for the Mercedes car. So we head down towards that first braking zone once again. And you can see there Pedersen all over the road, just trying to get the best line for him to take into turn 1 to keep Lay behind and go through. And then of course we can see as well, is it Lemoine and Neal having a battle too through the first couple of corners. And as it stands now, Neil does get that move in the McLaren, the Oplite car into 13th place. And then just looking at the gaps ahead, though, the top three are within 3 seconds. And then it's an 8-second gap back to Barriere and then, of course, Hannah and so on behind. So it seems that Barriere's a bit of a cork in the bottle here for everybody behind because they can't get through on him. They're all stuck around 8 seconds away from the leaders. Now, is that tactical of going a little bit slower maybe, or has he just not got that raw pace like Whitehead, Herons and Huben?
Well, interesting one. It's, he was second in our goal split in the Lexus last season, so he's got amazing paces, Valentin Barriere, as we see. Oh, that was late out having a go at Pisoni, or the Italian's actually gotten ahead of the Frenchman now. That's where the position changed hands. Oh, sweeps around the outside at turn 3, but then runs a bit wide, then has to defend himself all the way 4 and 5. So Letau's gone back up briefly. I tell you what, he's got a Jimmy Menard is the one that's got a brilliant view of that race going on. But an unusual one for Valentin Barriere. It does look like there's a lot of people stuck behind him, but there's opportunities to overtake in several key areas of this, of this track. But as we see the smoking Ferrari of Henrik Gamble. Now, when he comes into the pits, he's likely to have to stay there and to have tape removed from the radiators to help cool that car down. But if nothing else, he is going to have to back that off before he blows it up.
Indeed, and you can see that straight away. Marco De Buono, no messing around, goes up into second place. And Henrik Gamble now in a really, really poor position because he's going to have to, compromise some point in this race and drop back further. Of course, he's got a 2-second gap ahead of Gilhood, but I'm sure that one will come down too, along with Yamello as well in P5. Not ideal at all for Gamble, of course, with our pole sitter. But then again, I suppose if he knows that his race pace generally isn't there in terms of the top two, you sometimes push a little bit too early and think, right, we're leading. But then you'd lead a bit too early, you push a bit too much, and we've still got 55 minutes to go, and you start to think, well, was that actually worth it? Well, probably not, because he's now dropped down to P3 and he's 5 seconds away from the lead. And of course, I'd say, given that the experience and the skill that Fabio Grigoletto has, you've kind of given him the race. So I can't see any way now where he loses 4 seconds unless he makes a major mistake, or if the GT3s really hamper and get in his way.
Well, that is going to be kind of everybody's saving grace, is that the GT3s cause Grigoletto a bit of a headache. But Henrik Gamble, he's not making his pit stop any earlier. And bear in mind, we're nowhere near halfway yet. You can understand that. As long as he doesn't detonate the engine, he will carry on. He will carry on going. Yes, someone just pointed out my mistake. I said Ferrari for Gamble. It's because it was red, and my brain automatically completed that to be a Ferrari. It's a Cadillac, not a Ferrari. My apologies. The Team Nitro boys are not going to be very happy with me for that. But,
well, I was going to say, you thought it was a Ferrari because the engine's dying.
I didn't say that. That was my co-conspirator. I mean, co-commentator. No, I wouldn't say anything of the sort, Richie. Whatever do you mean you have no proof? Can't prove it. Anyway. Well, I mean, that's bad news for Henrik Gamble, as we said. He's going to have to back that off. He's now got Sven Gilhood on his tail as they work their way past the next group of GT3s. Looking back at the Oplite Mercedes. That is going to be, which of the GT3s is that? It is Barriere, I think. That is, we're looking back at. Well, at the moment, we're looking back at Sven Gilhood in the Falcon colours. That is looking to knock Henrik Gamble out of the podium contention. Still a long way to go, bear in mind. We don't have, we still have the pit stops to deal with. With everybody using broadly the same amount of energy universally across our hypercars, I would imagine a lot of them will pit at once, as we see Sven Gilhood get the slipstream. Gamble knows it's coming. He's not daft. He's not going to try and defend that with a sick engine. So through goes the Falcon, number 44, up into third position. We did have a yellow flag there, so someone's had a moment somewhere as we look at one of our Valkyries, one of our screaming Valkyries of Yene Simoncic, just working their way past Marin Bessia. along with Arda Erchan is in that mixture as well. There's just so many cars. You just got to hope that everybody around you knows what they're doing. I mean, these guys have practiced. They've raced each other numerous times in numerous sims, in numerous cars. They know what they're doing. But either way, there's still that moment as you commit to the, if you're in the faster car, you commit to the move. You just hope that the person you're passing has spotted you. We've all seen it, where the slower car, maybe they just make a small mistake, they'll understeer, and suddenly you have a very expensive mess.
Indeed, and I think with the fact that we've got, 36 drivers on the grid, that's 36 brains trying to connect with each other and tell each other what they're going to do. Now, I think 2 brains connecting is difficult, never mind many, many more. So it's going to make it very difficult for drivers trying to fight their way through, especially when we have these big battles and the big groups of the GT3s, which, when they're having a battle for position, they're not going to compromise their race for the LMP, for the hypercars going through. So that makes their job even harder because they've got to navigate around cars that are already fighting, battling side by side. So I'm sure as the race goes on, I don't want to curse anybody, but I'm sure somebody is going to fall foul of the GT3s having their battle for position. As here is Simon Chichu, I'd say, is a lot lower than we'd normally expect to see him. Normally you'd expect to see him in the top 5, and he's now just inside the top 10. And of course with the point system, it would only be 1 point going his way if he finishes 10th, but I'm sure with 50 minutes to go, he'll go a lot higher than that. And here's Arda Erchan, who I remember mentioning earlier was down in 17th with Michi Hoyer. What a race he's had so far, up into P11 now, on the cusp of the top 10. As here's Michi Hoyer, of course they've got Paul Puo ahead of him in P15. And it's not been the best start so far for Michi Hoyer, but then again, I suppose maybe this is one of his tracks which he just can't get right, and it happens for every driver. There'll be one track where they're nowhere near the top pace, but of course, give it a couple of races, he could be right up there again.
We will see as we ride on board with Marine Bassier once again, as he's having an argument with Julian Haino right ahead of us. The Lamborghini, well, the pair of Lamborghinis ahead of the Mustang, defending their spots. There's a battle for 8th position between these three. The Mustang has a look on the inside of turn 10 down at Dunlop, does not commit to that one. And with yet more, there's always GT3s just in groups. There's very few that have actually broken away. That gap between third and the rest now nearly 10 seconds deep. So the top 3 breaking away and doing their own thing up front as we look at our GT3 leader, car number 55, Luke Whitehead in the Mustang. So we're about halfway towards when the GT3s are going to visit the pit lane, as we can see in the chart in the top left-hand corner. All of our GT3s still running. We still have only had the one retirement of Brandon Geitz following that early race incident. The Flyby Esports or Kronos Racing Peugeot sadly not continuing beyond lap 1. Although now Yemelo is on the back of Henri Gamble. He just wants to advertise Team Nitro a little bit by the smoke display going on. Does Henri Gamble? That's what I think. Yeah, he's kind of taking Nitro a little bit too literally. I don't think Nitro actually gives a smoke trail like that. But you can at least
like a Rocket League contrail.
yeah. I mean, you can tell it's Henri Gamble. There's no two words about it. You know it's him.
Right. I mean, the worst part is now, if this happens to a red car during the season, we'll think it's Henri Gamble straight away.
Yes, that is also very true.
No,
now
not too good, is it? Especially when you've got an overheated engine. He's down to 4th. He's probably going to end up down in 5th, and it's a bit like, what could have been for Henri Gamble. It could have easily been a podium, I think, tonight.
Could well be, as Dario Yemelo sides it up the inside of turn 1. It's a little bit uncomfortable between the two. Oh, well, Giuseppe Di Noia and Marco Cantor arguing over 8th position. How are they going to sort this one out? They are having a big old squabble between the pair of them, neither of them giving any quarter. Di Noia has had to concede that. Oh, wow! Marco Cantor nearly being pushed into the wall by the purple Porsche. That got somewhat lively.
Did indeed. So, that was very close to contact, wasn't it, there?
A little bit, but Marco Cantor wrestles the position from Giuseppe Di Noia, and they then have the Valkyrie closing in right behind, which, oops, nearly contact between them. That's Simoncic that's involved in that. So we look at Simoncic and Arda Erchan as well. So we're on the nose of Yoni Simoncic's Valkyrie, practicing the 007. Now, that did look like it was impact between himself and the Porsche. Yep, there was indeed a tiny touch coming down into turn 10.
Indeed, and that is not good at all for Simoncic. I mean, it's not the fact he's got damage, but it's not the type of thing you want happening every lap. But he's got to get that move done. We can tell he's got more pace here than Di Noia ahead. But he's just got to get the move done. As here we have pit stops being made. The first one being Henrik Gambol is in with that very lively engine. So we'll have to see what happens here for him. He's gone earlier. Now, is this going to work or not? Because it's going to be a very long stint for his car, around 47 minutes probably. I think he can get it done, but it means he'll be very high on fuel heading into the final part of this race.
He will be a bit heavy, that is certainly true. As we look at Johannes Price, having a look at Rafael Biela. Again, apologies if I'm not getting the names quite right. So I think that's one of our few Peugeots that we have in the race, in the hands of Johannes, who we have seen in these parts before as our gold split champion in that same car. Now, Johannes did, 99% certain, did race in Platt at one point last season. And right behind him is, I think that's one of the Porsches. Not 100% sure who that is chasing. That's the two. That's Moritz Ulrich in the Cadillac. It's not a Porsche at all. That is chasing Johannes. I'll get it right by the end of the season. Oh, as Johannes then has a look alongside Rafael Biela. I was going to say that may not have actually been intentional. That's just could have been a bit of overspeed there. You don't tend to try and maneuver on the outside of turn 15 to 16. But he's looking set to get the Peugeot up a position here. Rafael Biela going hard to the inside line. Now, is Price going to be able to get the job done? And then you've got Ulrich right behind, side by side, coming in down into turn 1. Price has got the outside line. He wants the inside for 2. Gets a bit of a punch in the face and has to concede. So they remain where they are at the moment. They're still keeping their pace, though. They haven't lost too much time to the group ahead.
No, and brilliant defence and brilliant attacking as well. I think both of them were very fair, heading down towards turn 1 in that one. And, of course, Johannes Priest is still on the back of Rafael Biela as they make their way through the first sector here. And let's see, as we have Alexis Herrant in second place. They're still ahead of Nicholas Huben, but, of course, still a little bit away from Luke Whitehead at the front. That gap 2.7 seconds. And then, of course, it's 10.3 back to Barrier, which is just growing lap after lap now, isn't it, that gap?
Yeah, it's becoming quite insurmountable, but anything can happen. Oh, we've got Bessier that is come in, I think. So, yes, it is. Marin Bessier has decided to do his pit stop at this stage. I would imagine a lot of people are going to follow suit as we are getting very, very close to the halfway stage. As you see the McLaren bounce over the curbs there of Niklas Huben. No, this battle is still going on of Biela and Price. Right behind them, another battle forming between the pair of Cadillacs. I'll be calling them all sorts of manufacturers by the end of the race. Oh, see, it's moments like that that make me wince. This is why I couldn't take part in races series like this. I don't have that ability to kind of. I know how much this gap is going to shrink, therefore stop worrying about it. As we see our hypercar leader, Fabio Grigoletto, is really stuck in the traffic at the moment. He is caught behind Jules Neal in the Oplite McLaren. The tail of one of the Falcon McLarens. Grigoletto would have lost a little bit of time there, but nothing too drastic. We'll see, is he going to come in now? It's over 4-second lead to countryman Marco De Buono. Now the question is, how long did our smoking Cadillac stay in the pits for? That's going to be the question that needs answering. Once all the pit stops have shaken out, that'll be a little bit easier to answer. Well, Gramble's on
53
track.
seconds.
Ouch. That's a bit of a gap, but we'll see what happens when the rest of the pit stops have played out. Oh, Mitchy not having a good day here whatsoever. As mentioned, he was on the podium in this race last season.
Yeah.
Which was his best result of the season in the BMW last time around. Not able to repeat it in the Alpine.
What happened to Jimmy Menard? He's down in 15th now. He wasn't that low down earlier on. I know he had some issues on the first opening laps, but he was down to 9th place. So what's happened to Jimmy Menard? Because he hasn't been in the pits, because he'd be a lot longer further back from Michihoy, wouldn't he? Or have they already been in?
Unless they've all come in at once and we haven't spotted it, but it's a very good question. Jimmy Menard may well. The thing is, he may well have been caught in an incident that didn't cause a yellow. So no, only Henri Gamble has pitted. So it could be that he was involved in the incident, but it didn't cause a yellow flag, so we wouldn't have noticed it. The answer is unknown. And this is, look at this group of hypercars here, still all grouped together. So Ulrich is the tail end of this particular group. That's Price on Beeler still. And they've got another 3 hypercars right ahead of them. So it's, instead of 2 groups of 3, it has now become one conga line of 6.
Yes, and I'm sure these gaps are going to stay probably relatively similar until the pit stops come round. Because I think they're all eager to make a move, but they're not going to take too much risk and go for sends 3 or 4 tenths back like you would do if it's, in the final stint or at the end of a race. As here we see Johannes Priest heading into the pit lane. So we have another pit stopper, of course. Henri Gamble, with what we assume was engine overheating issues, came in first. So I would say in normal conditions, we have our first pit stopper being Priest. So we'll have to see what he can do and whereabouts he'll come out compared to Henri Gamble. That's going to be quite a good indicator. As here's Alexander Hanna on the back of Valentin Barrier, looking for a move in towards the braking zone, but can't quite get ahead there. And of course has to be careful of Axel Ramanet behind, who's also looking to move forward. And I think the one thing I'm loving so far about the racing is, if you look at, that's going to be close as one of the Ferraris goes through. What I was going to say was, one thing I found interesting is we're at a track that isn't the most, it's not obvious that there'll be lots of overtaking. There's lots of, hairpins and corners where you can't go side by side. Well, these drivers are doing a great job of making it a circuit where you can battle. I think they're all doing a brilliant job of, obviously, hypercars going through in GT3s, then, of course, the cars in each class battling for position.
Yeah, absolutely true. And some of the moves look, they're like teeth-drying moves that makes you just go, ugh. But the thing is, these guys know how many pixels wide their cars are. So, they're not unfamiliar with doing the moves that look impressive to us mere mortals. As we come back to this GT3 group, Alexander Hanna to 5th position with some of the pit stops going on. So we've got Merc, Lexus, McLaren and Lamborghini all in this argument now. Axel Ramanet. Oh, that is it Leiden? It's Thomas Leiden that has brought the Merc in, along with Jimmy Menard has brought his car in. Oh, slightly overshot the pits, so his pit crew essentially dragged him back.
That's not ideal. That's lost him a little bit of time, and of course, sometimes those few tenths or couple of seconds can cost you when it comes to that race and the long term of the races. Here we have a couple of GT3s here being overtaken by, I think that's one of the Tatum liveries as they make their way through. And of course, we're on board here with Axel Ramanet looking to go ahead of Alexander Hanna as they head down towards turn 9. This is a big opportunity to go to the outside where we saw him go for it earlier. He's had to back out now as they make their way through. And of course, it could be a move down to turn 1 potentially here for Axel Ramanet.
Could well be. The Virtual Esports driver was 5th in the goal split in the Lamborghini last time out. Switched over to the Lexus for this season. So behind Ramanet is Mehdi Hamadani. He didn't enjoy qualifying too much. It is right at the 6th position at the moment. 7th, beg your pardon. Lamborghini at the tail end of the field.
Which one's that behind there? Is that Hamadani, isn't it, in 7th at the moment, I think. It is, there we go. We're on board with him. Looking to go ahead of Ramone as well. And like I said earlier, you've got to be careful because Ramone earlier was going for a move for P5. He's now under pressure of dropping down to P7 as up the inside goes Mehdi Hamadani. And that's a spot lost for Ramone when it was potentially a spot gained earlier on. So it's so difficult, isn't it, to kind of judge the right times to be going for moves because there's always cars behind trying to go through.
Yeah, very, very true. The French driver saw that one coming of Ramone, decided not to fight it too hard, let the Swiss driver complete that one for L4R. As we now look at Julian Hanno and Marius Pedersen, the almost Lamborghini trio. So this is for 9th and 10th between these particular two. Then the Falcon McLaren behind. So yeah, well, that was a well-executed move there from Hamadani to get ahead of Ramone, and should still get a little bit of slipstream off the back of Alexander Hanna as well to stay in contention with that particular group as we look at the treble 7 McLaren, the Opel Esports entrant of Axel Ramone, who competed in the silver split in the Porsche 911 last time around. Actually won this race in the silver split. I believe was a reserve in the silver split last time out. Won 3 times, raced 3 times and won all 3 of them amazingly. And this was one of the wins. So that's quite a rap sheet. And is inside the top 10 in the plat split as well. But a flash of the lights there from Ramone, interestingly.
Indeed. So we'll have to see what Ramone will try and do to retaliate. If he can get back ahead, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose, as he's closing down in towards turn 1, but that gap's a little bit high at the moment, around half a second. So no way through this time, and you start to think if that was the move complete, maybe there'll be no way through for Ramone to get back ahead into 6th.
Marco De Bueno. Oops, bit of a lock-up there. Coming back out on track post pit stop. Not 3rd anymore, unfortunately. Is the BMW. Back on track there is Honor Gamble, very much on his own. But still plenty of pit stops to conclude. So 36 minutes remain of this race. We're well over halfway now. And still, our race leader is in. I was just about to say the hypercar's being led by our champion, but Fabio Grigoletta then coming in. No particular rush to, you've got to make sure everything is right in the pit stop. If you overshoot, you will lose time then getting back into your box. But with the lead that Grigoletta had, he's got nothing to particularly worry about there. But Sven Gilhud takes over the lead with Dario Yamello right behind him, and Leitao rounds out our podium 3 for now. But like we said, still plenty of pit stops to go.
Indeed, and with that gap now being 6 seconds between Gilhud and Yamello, and of course Leitao another 7/10 back, it does give Gilhud a little bit more of, I suppose, less pressure on him, with him having such a high gap to those who were in the net position behind him at least. As we can see here, Fabio Grigoletto making his way to the pit lane, 13th currently, but of course that's due to him making his pit stop. And then here is Marco De Buono, I believe, making his way down towards turn 1. So it will be key to keep an eye on the gap here between them, because that will come down heavily, won't it, over the next, I'd say, 8 turns before Grigoletto's car tyres start to warm up nicely.
It would be something like that. Perhaps a full lap just to be sure. But yeah, Grigoletta doesn't have to push particularly hard. He knows that he'll resume much of the same sort of lead that he had before. As we got a lovely three-way fight, well, almost 4-way fight really, being led by Giuseppe Di Noia in 8th position. Right behind him, Rafael Bila in the Porsche. Behind Rafael, trying to spot who that is. I need to get used to what everybody's car looks like these days. Because all the liveries are very different, or vast majority of them are very different than what we had last season. Oh, and that's Bila making a move on Giuseppe Di Noia for 6th position. Through a bit of a slide there, but it's overcooked it though. Rafael Di Noia rather gets the up and under, back up into 6th position. And on that trio continues as they were at the end of the previous lap. It's Maurice Ulrich.
Just shows how difficult turn 1 is around here, because how many times have we seen drivers go for moves and really go deep? It happens all the time because you're at such a high speed, and then all of a sudden you're on the brakes at around 150 metres, and you've got to get that braking point precise. And of course, it's very easy to overcook it, especially when you're watching cars in the mirrors. As there's a move, that was a send from Biela trying to go back ahead of De Nooijer. They make their way through out of turn 10. But there was no move on the cars there for Rafael Biela, and I suppose he's still a little bit annoyed that he got overdone at turn 1 with the switchback, so he'll be even more eager now to go ahead and ahead of De Nooijer. But of course, they've got Ulrich behind, who, if you give him the opportunity, and these two battle as hard as they are, he could very easily just go through on the both of them, like nobody's business. It's very easy to kind of just sit behind a battle, wait for it to kind of, I suppose, explode or get higher, and then make your way through yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Raphael would have cost himself a bit of time. Oh, someone flirting a bit with the pit lane speed limit. So on board there with Moritz Ulrich, the Fischer Racing representative. Also, what was throwing me was that Exclusiva, which is Giuseppe De Nooijer, and Fischer, which one of them is Moritz, both the purple and black liveries. Oh, look at that! Oh, now did he get down to the pit lane speed limit? Well, we'll know that a bit later on if he suddenly gets penalised. So there are more pit stops then taking place as we look at the 4th place battle that is being led by Valentin Berrier. A lot of people right behind Alexander Hanna, chief of. Then Mehdi Hamadani, who's been slowly making his way through the field. As far as we know, not a lot of the GT3s have come in yet. So that's been kind of consistent work there from Hamadani to be up into 6th.
Indeed, has done a lot of work just to make his way up the field. I mean, he was right at the bottom there, and of course, in the GT3. So great work to get back up into the top 6 and be on for a very easy top 10 here if things carry on as it stands. As there's Axel Ramino, of course, has got Hamadani ahead of him as one of the hypercars are making their way through as well in the field. And of course, with the gaps being a little bit bigger now, it makes it a lot easier for the hypercars to go through. As here is Dario Yamello and I think Sven Gilhood as well in the pit lane. Those two are going to be, well, one of them will be heading their way out soon. And of course, Dario Yamello has only just made his way in, as I think that might be Biela as well. Rafael Biela heading into the pit lane too. As here is Jene Simoncic, who is also yet to come into the pits himself, and Arda Ercan, who I think if they can keep going longer in this one, this could certainly reward them at the end of the race. And I think the one driver who will be very rewarded with the top 10 would be Arda Ercan, considering he was right at the back with Misha Hoyer earlier on, and now he has a possible chance of going up into the top 10. As here is Dario Yamello making his way to the pit lane, and there's Marco De Buono. We'll see what that sort of gap will be like, and I presume it should be an easy pass for De Buono to go ahead of Yamello. We'll have to keep an eye on that shortly of how far back he is, but he's got ahead of Sven Gilhood though. That's the key thing to keep an eye on.
He has indeed. Marco De Buono getting ahead of Sven Gilhood post pit stop. As weave of the desperate hurry to get his tyres up and running is Sven Gilhood. So trying to get, that is going to be pretty close. As Dario Yamello and Henrik Gamble are close together. That shows how much time Gamble lost. Kazuri is up in 4th. Now, yes, there are still pit stops to do, but he's now really getting the hammer down. Let's hope he doesn't cook his engine anymore. As Dario Yamello has got a lot of defending to do to try and keep what I suspect now is a very charging Henrik Gamble.
I think if Gamble now has worked out what his issue was, what caused the overheating, and I presume that was just due to pushing too hard. If he can control his pace now and not overheat, he could still be on for a very good result here if he could just push his way forward. And I'd assume when he's full pace, could easily get ahead of Dario Yamello. Of course, it did take Dario quite a while to catch up to him, even though he had those issues. So now they're on equal terms. Could be quite an easy move for Henrik Gamble to go back up and take 8th place for the time being. Of course, with others still yet to pit, that would put him in net P5 here at the moment. Of course, depending if you can get ahead of Yamello, it could be a net P4 here, because Simoncic, Ercan, Cantor and Hoyer have to pit still in this race. And you can see Gamble now burning a lot down towards turn 1, has a really good run to go for the move. He has to go to the outside, but that's Thomas Schleiden in the way.
Oh, Merck in the wrong place at the wrong time, minding his own business. Oh, that's very close. Dario Yamillo, as we saw, particularly in Algarve last season, really stuck it to Fabio Grigoletto, particularly there, and is not an easy driver to pass. Not a lot of these drivers are easy ones to pass, or when they really are working for him. Bearing in mind now that we are in the last third of the race, as you can see in the top left corner, people are going to be really pushing hard to be maximizing their positions. We have got a yellow out there, so there has been an incident somewhere, which we will pick up on when we can. Oh, that's that gearhead. No.
Oh,
Hoyer. Oh, he's trying to get through a gap you can see, but no, he's hit it and he's gotten stuck.
oh.
So that would indicate oh, Mitchy. That car is quite wounded by the look of that, yes. Or there's a lot of words in that going on in that cockpit that we can't see. So we can't see. We can't see words. What am I? We can't hear, and I probably shouldn't hear either. So yeah, Meteor is. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you can see words, that's something interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I would want to know what's in my water if I can see words. That is a car that does not want to go straight. So I imagine this will be retirement number 2 of the night.
Yes, not good at all for Michi Hoyer, which you can see just trying to avoid everybody else making his way through, and that Alpine is in a very big spot.
Look how hard he has to steer right. That's not a happy Alpine.
No. I mean, is any Alpine happy? Oh, he's on the apex. Oh, dear. Oh.
Look at that. He's all the way over on the stop. It just doesn't turn. The front wheels are not. Look, there's so much steering input, and there's nothing going on. Oh, well, Mitchy.
Get it back.
Whether it's a hardware malfunction or a broken car, that is. I would fair play to Mitchy for actually getting that back to the pits rather than just parking it out on track, I suppose. But he's relying on the barrier more than he would like.
Yes, definitely. And luckily he didn't hit any cars. There was a couple of moments where he was on an apex, and that is not where you want to be when you're trying to not get hit by others who are going a lot faster than you. As we have a battle here for 11th, 12th and 13th. We've got Marco Canta in this one. Of course, we've got Giuseppe Di Nola as well behind, and then another car in 14th as well behind those. So we'll see how this battle goes. Here's a battle for 4th, and now it's Hamidani who's potentially up into P4. What a race this has been for him in terms of, well, what a race. I think it's been a recovery is a better word for it. Up to P5 now, possibly going up into P4. And, of course, has Alexander Hanna behind him, who qualified 10th. So he's also doing a great job in that Lexus. So it's all about now seeing what Mehdi Hamadani can do and try and go ahead of Barrier, who's been there for a very long time in that P4 spot. I think has been there since lap 1, of course, was the driver that grown out that gap to 8 seconds. It's now gone slightly lower, but of course the gap from Huben to Heron is now also 8 seconds. So I think a well done job by Barrier here if he can keep all those cars behind him, because he's basically secured himself a P4 by just not over pushing the car.
Yeah, it's just been persistent, careful, patient, doing exactly what he needs to do when he needs to do it. And look how defensive Barrier has had to go into turn 1. The 297 Lamborghini of Mehdi Hamadani, the Swiss driver. So we don't have results of Hamadani. This is the first time we've seen him, and he's inside the top 5 in a very, very competitive GT3 field. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So there's a great shot there. Mercedes, Lamborghini, Lexus, McLaren. That's a fantastic advert for diversity into one of itself. But, the closer we get to the checkered flag, the more people are going to be really pushing and trying to make moves happen. So, this has been a fantastic race thus far, but it's going to close out in a very, very big way. Yeah, there we go. Another chant there for, Hamadani. I just spotted in chat just as he had a bit of a sniff on the inside line coming down into turn 10. No dice yet, but still, there's time enough. But I'm fairly sure that a lot of the GT3 still have yet to see the pit lane. So, that could well spice up things.
Yeah, if we could have a quick look as well at what the pit stops are looking like for the GT3s, but I think most of them are yet to pit. Otherwise, if they all have pitted, they've pitted together, yeah. So the top 10 yet to,
Okay.
and all those behind have. So it will be key to keep an eye on the likes of Porter, Heno, Bessier, whereabouts they'll come out after the others go in, as here's a couple more heading into the pit lane. So Valentin Barrier's in. I think that's going to be Axel Ramenet as well, who's into the pit lane. So a few more now just starting to dot around and pop their way into the pits. I think the main thing to keep an eye on is, I'd say, between Whitehead and Heron. I think Huben, I don't think he has to worry about when he pits because he's got an 8-second gap behind. But the top two, they've got to be very careful because they're only 3 seconds apart.
I thought for a second that was Mitchie making a move. I was like, surely not. Yeah, no. Fair play. He hasn't retired the car. I think you could be there a while. There's Adarachan, fellow Falcon Alpine, that is getting his foot down and underway once again. That's not an Alpine. I was right with Falcon. That's a Toyota, our sole Toyota in the season. So Adarachan then giving his tyres a bit of a workout. I apologize in advance. I will misidentify every car or mispronounce every name. It's amazing they let me back, you know. But there we go. As we look at Jules Niels. Oh, McLaren's. He has a bit of a sniff on the inside of Marius Pedersen in the Lamborghini, the Danish driver. Another one of our new entrants into the Platinum Split. So, again, doing a great job there. Now, is that the livery, or was that front of the McLaren somewhat rearranged? Sometimes I do get I've done it before where I've suddenly said, oh, the front of the car is heavily damaged, where it's actually just a pattern of the livery. 2 cars up, so it is damaged on the front of Alexander Hanna's car, I think it is.
That's Neil, isn't it? I think.
No, we're looking at yours now, but there you go. The Falcon car just coming in the pits was the one I was wondering if it was damaged or the livery had something going on. Oh, no, that's Christian Malgera, McLaren, that has just come in.
As Whitehead has stayed out. So everybody else has pitted here, I think, in the GT3 class. But Whitehead has gone 1 lap longer here. Well, I presume it'll be 1 lap longer because there's... because everybody's pitted, I wouldn't imagine he can go much longer than everybody else. So maybe 1 more lap for him as we continue our way on. Of course, a few of them now making their way to the pit lane as well, and also been informed that apparently Dario Yamello has a penalty.
Yes, I just spotted that. Now, we don't know why. Odds are that's a track limits penalty.
Yeah.
That because that's just been brought to my attention as well. But the line is track limits maybe ? So, oh no, that is not that's never what you want to see. I mean, like I say, Dario was the winner of this race last season. And whilst that was a bit of an outside shot, that will certainly put a nail in that particular coffin as we look at Axel Ramenet and Alexander Hanna having a great argument here for what is going to be 6th position.
Decent. Great job by Hurame.
Yeah, and Valentin Barrier still fending off the advances of Mehdi Hamadani.
And I'm sure that he'll try and do this all race long now. There's 20 minutes to go. There's no point letting Hamadani through because he's quicker. You might as well defend this P4 because you've not really got much to lose in terms of, you know, the cars ahead. You're 8 seconds behind third, who is another 8 seconds back from second place, and will be key to see whereabouts Luke Whitehead comes in terms to Herent. Of course, that gap was 3.2 seconds before they went into the pit stop, so it'll be key to see what it is now. As, oh dear me, is that a Falcon car and a Falcon car nearly come together of 2 different classes? It's Michi Hoyer. Yes. He's back out.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that Michi Hoyer has actually got that car back out. So the GT3 leader, Luke Whitehead, back on track then and retains the lead of the class. Alexis Heron in the Lamborghini. Close, but not quite there. But yeah, Luke Whitehead has just controlled the class from up front, slowly built that gap, and has maintained the lead. As Mehdi Hamadani's not done with Valentin Barrier yet. He's very much eyes forward. He's not interested in the McLaren behind him. So, which, you know, fair play to that argument is swap rounds for 6th position. It was Lexus ahead of McLaren last time we looked at it. But Mehdi Hamadani, in his maiden race in the split, is very much looking to make his name known. But fair play to Valentin Barrier, defending brilliantly well in the Mercedes.
Certainly. And I noticed as well with Hamadani, when he went down to turn one there, he was looking for the lunge and he backed out completely halfway down. So I think he's also not too keen on getting the move done straight away. As long as he knows he's not under pressure from Axel Ramano, he'll stay behind for now just until he knows he's got a clear-cut chance of going through and taking fourth place. As here is, I believe that will be, is that the penalty being served for Yamello, I'd assume?
I would assume so, yes. As he's had a Falcon card jump out in front of him, of Moritz Ulrich. So, yes, look at that, down to 14th, near the back of the field now for the Italian. Oh, you never want to see it.
No, definitely not. Especially when he was running up so well. He was in the top 5 earlier on with Dario Yamello, and they're down at the back of the field. Not good at all for him. And back to the battle for fourth in the GT3 class, of course. It's Valentin Barrier ahead of Hamadani. Then you've got Ramane and Hanna behind that as well, who are all just waiting for something to happen. I think Alexander Hanna's in a decent position here because fourth place is right in front of him, but he's not the one who's really initiating those battles for position. He's just sitting there and waiting for something to go his way. As you can see there, Ramane wasn't expecting him to go for the move and broke a lot earlier than the Lexus and threw into into sixth goes Alexander Hanna. A great move to go up another spot, and Ramane there flashing the headlights. I'm sure that's more of a distraction, I think, than anger, because I don't know what wrong there that's Hanna did, but that was a replay down to turn one up the inside for the Lexus. It was a pretty simple move, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would fully agree with you, Nathan. I would say that was more a distraction move, or just, congratulations, well done. There was nothing wrong with that in the slightest. Lexus back ahead of McLaren now, and still Mehdi Hamadani is in the tyre tracks of Valentin Barrier's Mercedes. I mean, they're not likely to catch the top 3, so having their own fantastic squabble for best of the rest is fine by us. We'll see that. And that is Pisoni now up into the top 5. So, again, another newcomer to the split, Leonardo Pisoni in the BMW in the hypercar class, was second in the goal split last season in the Ferrari. So, it's great to see so many new names really making the established names work for it. I love seeing that myself. And, we're seeing that across both classes. Looking back then from Valentin Barrier, we all know how long this straight is. Mehdi Hamadani, not pushing, not overdriving the cars, remaining patient, which is, believe me, a lot harder than it sounds, especially in the closing stage of the race. You're very, very tempted to do something silly, to defend where you shouldn't, try and attack where it's not realistic. But he's going for the outside maneuver. The corner's too tight. You're not going to get it done. But again, he's putting the pressure on. He's making Valentin Barrier think about it. And he's trying to force that mistake, which is no easy feat. Valentin Barrier is a very, very good driver. But fair play to Hamadani. I'm very, very impressed with a lot of our new drivers, but Hamadani in particular.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing to notice, dear me, that's Porto and Jules Neal having a battle. Dear me, there's a slight bit of contact. I think it was Neal there. Didn't end up in the wall. I do not know. There was heavy contacts there as they made their way through. And then you got Bessier and Heno as well involved. Let's see the replay once again here of Neal as they head their way through. And it was just that slight bit of contact that nearly sent him into the barriers. He's done a great job of collecting the car. And then, of course, behind him, you've got Bessier and Heno trying to go through in position as well. So that was a very dicey moment there. And Jules Neal nearly ending his race.
That could have gone horribly wrong. Oh, God, as is still going on. Heno, Bessier still having their arguments. There is the Valkyrie that is getting involved as well. There's so much going on in this particular group. Mary Bessier, as Heno is getting involved in there, as well as the one of the Falcon McLarens. That's Jules Neal that's fallen to the back of this particular group from being punched in the face. How he didn't spin, I will not know. It was very, very well held, but that's Mosgera on the back of Marin Bessier as obviously the Falcon hypercar is coming past. Then it's the Lamborghini of Julien Heno that's still having his argument with the McLaren ahead. So Oh, this could get very lively. Less than a quarter of an hour to go. The Lamborghini commits to the inside line. Thankfully, the off-light McLaren spotted it. But they're still going at it. It's a pair of side-by-sides coming down into turn 3.
They make their way through. Still the Lamborghini on the outside. Jules Neal still keeping his way in there. Of course, this is the battle for 10th place. That final point in the opening round for 10th. So this is a big, big battle for all of these in this fight as one of the LMPs. Hypercars trying to make their way through. That's going to be close. All dear me, but they do get through in the end. And there we can see Bassier trying to go ahead of Neal for 11th place. Looking to try and mug off the McLaren up the inside line into turn 9. That's, I think, Bieler going through as well, one of the hypercars. So, oh, there's contact, oh dear me, and caught up there, I think it was Heno. Bassier's looking to go through as well, and Bieler's onto the grass on the inside line.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable ping pong going on with various GT3s. Oh, Jules Neal getting mugged off the road there by the Vulcan McLaren. I don't think he'd be best impressed with that, but this is just it's getting a little bit scrappy, but it is for survival of the fittest, as now Jules Neal again gets that inside line on Christian Malgera. Oh wow, as the Fisher hypercar gets all kinds of squiggly trying to avoid that, but this is just incredible. You cannot call how this is going to go, which is racing I'd love to see, maybe with a little bit less bouncing off each other, but goodness me, that's now 3 wide coming down into turn 1. Why not?
Alexandre lazily trying to go through to 14th. Now looking to go ahead of Patrick Schindler into 13th place. Lots of battling here for the final points positions in the GT3 classes. Here's again Bessier and Malgera as they head through turn 3. Bessier's just trying to keep an edge of front in the Mustang as they make their way through turn 7, 8 and 9, and Bessier has got that P11 done and dusted, but of course Malgera might go for a little bit of a late dive bump to the inside. No, a little bit too far back for now, but of course they're still trying to go ahead into 10th place as here's a battle for 2nd place between De Buono and Gilhood.
This one's been brewing for a while. The Italian fending off the advances of Sven Gilhood. Flash of the lights from both of them. Okay, fair enough. Marco De Buono sticking to the racing line. Now, is he indicating to Sven for him to pass? We'll have to see when the move is complete. The Dutchman gets the inside line. I think Marco De Buono was letting Sven go there. Perhaps he feels that Sven's got a little bit more pace and it's just going to be beneficial for him to sit in the tyre tracks. A bit of a flash there from De Buono. He could well have just conceded that one voluntarily rather than risking fighting for it. Again, you do know who you're realistically in a fight with, and fair play to both of them if that is the case. So now it's up to Sven Gilhood to try and race away in the Falcon Alpine. Oh, this big GT3 squabble continuing. Alexander Hanna with Axel Ramone chasing on. Oh my goodness, that got very, very close. Moritz Ulrich nearly ploughed into the back of the Lexus, but no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul on this occasion as Bessier still fending off the advances of Malgera.
Indeed, and I've noticed as well, one thing is Gamble is back up to 4. Ulrich Gamble's done a great job of going from, I think, 7th at one point, back up to 4th. Doing a really good job in the hypercar category. Of course, as we can see, this battle for 4th. Sorry, no, this is the battle for 11th. There is also a battle for 4th at the same time. Lots of battles going in the GT3 classes. Here's Barriere and Hamadani, of course, still going at it. 11 is the gap between Barriere and Huben. So a prime Fernando Alonso strategy here from Valentin Barriere in the Mercedes to keep Hamadani, Hanna and Ramone behind. But of course, it can be afforded to happen here for these guys because they've got 9 seconds back to Pedersen, another 3 seconds back to Porto. So they have got a lot of gaps to work with here when it comes to having a battle.
Well, yeah, but what they don't have is a lot of time. They need to be kind of figuring out what position they're going to finish in pretty soon. But Valentin Barriere has soaked up all this pressure. He's got Hamadani, Hanna and Ramone all in striking distance. And, yeah, unbelievable. He's just soaked up all the pressure. And still only the one retirement of Brandon Geitz right early on. Misty Wire, 3 laps down, still going. Fair play. Fair play, why not?
There he is.
I know they say you never know what's going to happen, but 3 laps down with 9 minutes left. Yeah. I mean, why not? You paid your money. You're allowed to be there. Why not give it a go? As we see a replay here, I think that is Michi Hoyer just barreling on the inside of the Lamborghini of Hamadani, and then Barrier. Whether he intended to run off there on the outside of turn 1, we don't know. But goodness me, absolutely brilliant. For a second, you know when your eyes see something and your brain doesn't quite auto-complete in time? Yes. I thought that recovery truck was someone parked there. I was like, oh my God, who's that? It's a recovery car.
Oh, well, you never know. Maybe someone later on will end up being parked up like a recovery truck.
Well, yeah.
We've got 8 minutes to go and they're still battling for position here. I can't see everybody coming out to this unscathed. There's, of course, here's Barrier again with Hamadani's McLaren behind him, still pushing on and trying to go for 4th place, which I think at this moment would feel like a win, considering the gap, considering the fact that Hamadani's been there for about 20 minutes, constantly trying to get ahead of Valentin Barrier, of course. I think at one point Hamadani's probably not pushing as much as he could do, but also I think Barrier's had a lot of great defence, especially when it comes to kind of predicting the line. That Barrier is going to take, we've seen him a lot of the time go to that inside line and hold that there. And of course, it makes it so more difficult to go for a move on the outside line, especially into corners like turn 1. As here we have a battle for P5 here. It's Leonardo Pisoni and Mattis Leitao. Of course, it's Pisoni's first race here in Platinum, and at the moment, it's P5, but he's under a hell of a lot of pressure from Mattis Leitao behind him, I believe, qualifying P3 earlier on. So he's trying to make his race go a little bit better and finish it off with a top 5.
Again, another fantastic, whoa, big snap there from Mattias Leitao in the 276 car. The Cadillac trying to break free, but he's wrestled that one as the Frenchman on the back of Pisoni. A brilliant performance. Again, another newcomer to the split. Oh, is that side by side? That's Hamadani having a go at the Mercedes. Can Barrier string that one out? Hamadani's going to have to go a very long way round. Can he get it done? It's not realistically going to happen on the outside of turn 10. Oh, that's the McLaren going deep. He's trying desperately to wrong for Valentin Barrier, but it's just not happening. Alexander Hanna's got a brilliant view of the battle ahead of him. As Ramonet's trying, looks like he's getting a little bit ragged there, but trying his best to stay with this group of 3. It's impossible with a look. We've got so many battles going on, very little time. Someone nick the checkered flag. This is going to go. I want this race to carry on until they run out of fuel.
I mean, they're not going to be that far away from it, are they? By the time we hit the
probably not, actually. Yeah.
I'd assume they're not fueled. I presume they've not fueled fully up for the rest of this one, but of course this battle will go all the way to the checkered flag. Of course, fuel-wise, they're at 14 and 15%, so they'll go to the end easily in 6 minutes. But of course, I don't think we get much more than that afterwards. So,
yeah, someone nick the checkered flag, please. What a way to open the season! This is absolutely brilliant stuff. We hope you lovely people that have joined us live and those joining us post-event are enjoying it as much as we have. But riding on board with Alexander Hanna, staring at the back of Mehdi Hamadani. Everyone in this group, with the exception of Valentin Barrier, can probably sketch the outline of the car in front of them by memory. They've been staring at it so long. So, goodness me.
I think Alexander Hanna will always know which car a Lamborghini is in front of him there.
True enough. Grigoletto has a 10-second lead. Whitehead a 4-second lead. They can really coast now. Yep. So, someone's... as you say in chat, Luke Whitehead saving fuel, PTSD flashbacks. He does not want to be running out of fuel within sight of the finish line because no one's going to push you over the line. Let's be honest.
The worst part about this track is because it's such a long run. You can see that start-finish line a long way before you get to it. Yeah.
When you want to get out and push, they yeah.
I wouldn't recommend
no such option for it. Maybe that's DLC for LMU, you know. Yeah, the push option. Oh, Alexander Hanna flirting with the outside. Oh no. As soon as I've said that, I then see yellow flag in the top corner. I'm watching the gap between Whitehead and Heron. It's not dropping.
Oh, who is it?
Oh, is that Hano? Yeah, that's Julian Hano. I think. Oh, it's just tangled over the nose of the Falcon McLarens towards the tail end. That's Nicholas Lemoyne. That he's, I think, the nose of the. Well, that's certainly the car ahead of him. Oh dear!
What a shame.
And fifth place in Hypercar's change hands. Litau has now gotten that one out of the hands of Pisoni. So they've had that. Well, there is Leonardo Pisoni with Yanni Simoncic right on his tail. That Valkyrie is he's on a mission, and Yanni Simoncic banzais the inside of turn one, and it doesn't look like Leonardo Pisoni has got any means to counteract that in the BMW. That's there's our sole Corvette in the race. I mean, I admire your dedication to the mark. Oh, that was close. Simoncic and Pisoni then. The Aston Martin getting all kinds of out of shape as we ride on board with Leonardo Pisoni. Was there a bit of a tap between the two? I mean, Simoncic caught it. Well, yes, there was. So that's why there was a bit of a wiggle. So I think Pisoni may have. You saw he got boxed in there behind the Opel McLaren, had to back out of it, and then understeered into the side of Simoncic.
He's just nearly hit the back of the number 11 car, which is Patrick Schindler. Nearly hit the back of him as well. So that was not too ideal for him a moment ago. As here we see once again the P4 car, Henrik Ombol, who's 1.8 seconds back from Marco Di Buono at the moment. Of course, it's been a decent race considering where it went at one point. Of course, he was the pole sitter and led for the first 10 minutes. Of course, he got overtaken, then he had these engine overheating issues, pitted earlier than the others, and now sits comfortably P4. And I've noticed he's bringing that gap down to Di Buono. It's now 1.6 seconds. It was over 3 earlier on. So maybe a last gasp chance at the podium could be on the cards here for Henrik Ombol here, depending how the rest of this race goes on. There's a few cars just making their way through. Of course, it's the P2 and P3 of the hypercars, followed by the battle for fourth here in the GT3. So this could get a little bit scary. But of course, Hannah's got through on Hamadani as well. I didn't catch that one. So the Lexus is up into fifth place. Now, can he try and go ahead of Valentin Barrier is the question.
And now Axel Rabanne is looking at the back of the Lamborghini, so he could be interested in that sixth position. I wonder whether that just caught Hamadani by surprise. He's been so focused on the Mercedes that the Lexus has then struck. We didn't see it happen. So now Axel Rabanne right under the rear wing of Mehdi Hamadani to try and relieve him of that sixth position. Just less than 1.5 minutes remain now. We will see how this transpires. That is Marco Di Buono. No, it's not. It's Henrik Gamble staring at the back of Marco Di Buono. Less than a second between the two. 2 laps at best remaining. Somewhat depends on where Grigoletto is, depending on when the checkered flag falls. So Henrik Gamble is just going to have to throw all caution to the wind and try and push the Italian into a mistake. Oh, there was a little bit of a slide there from the Italian, but nothing that gave Henrik Gamble any kind of traction. I think he's probably going to have to rely on back marker intervention here as we now look at Rabanne trying to get the inside of Hamadani on the exit of turn one. Can't quite get the overlap in the 777 McLaren.
Well, if there's 38 seconds left, is this the final lap then for Grigoletto?
Well, let's see where Grigoletto is. He's coming down into turn 10, I think. He's not going to beat the flag. So it is now a nothing do or die for Henrik Gamble to try and get up ahead of Marco Di Buono. I can't see that he's going to be able to do it, but fair play to him for closing that gap down to that degree.
I mean, there's still a couple corners to go. Let's not call it over just yet. Any mistake can happen here for Marco Di Buono. The gap's down to 5 tenths. I think if we got maybe another 5 minutes on this race, we could have a right battle for P3. And you can see 0 minutes remaining over to Grigoletto.
So there it is. Your winner for the first race of Season 4 here at VMS, here at Fuji, is our champion. It is number 1, Fabio Grigoletto. He's already turned the engine off. He is coasting to a halt, but Sven Gilhood is going to have second, but third by a mere margin is Marco Di Buono. Brilliant effort there from Henrik Gamble to come up into fourth, and it's going to be Leitao that has the fifth spot as this argument is still going on for fourth position. Berrier is going to fend off Hannah. There's going to fend off Hamadani. There's going to fend off Rabanne. But it is going to be Luke Whitehead that wins out in the GT3s is Alexis Herent in second place. Niklas Huben. Well, we haven't seen Nicholas very much. Well, there's been so much fighting going on throughout the rest of the field. It's been difficult to focus on any one particular battle. But Nicholas Huben rounds out the podium in the GT3s. Valentin Berrier, I'm sure, will be very, very happy with fourth. And it is Alexander Hanna with that very late move on Hamadani to claim the fifth place in our GT3s. And there is a celebration.
Oh.
Why not? We'll get to see it again. Michi Hoyer. I mean, considering he's 3 laps down, he did continue to race. He's going through that area again where it all went wrong for him 10 or so minutes ago. Wow, what a race. Oh, that's a great shot. I love that. I mean,
that was kind of a perfect way for me to kind of make my debut here. What a race it was at Fuji in the Platinum Series for season 4. And of course, I think it's one of these seasons now where you've got your favourites in Grigoletta and Whitehead, but then everyone behind that, you don't know where anybody else is going to fall out in this season.
I love the fact that you've got 3 Tatum cars all lined up and there's a Mustang in the middle. Like, I don't belong here. So familiar territory then, top step of the podium for Grigoletta and for Whitehead. Oh, that was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed that. We'll hopefully have a chance to catch up with our drivers post-race. It is not mandatory. Wow, look, Whitehead's already in the interview box. So when everybody has finished, when we have the final results, we will get at least our class winners involved. If we can get our class podium, that will be even better. But like I say, it is not mandatory for our drivers to make themselves available. So then, before any kinds of steward's intervention, it is Luke Whitehead that opens the season standings with the top split. Alexis Herent in second, Niklas Huben in third. Valentin Berrier, hats off to you, sir. You have soaked up so much pressure to hang on to fourth. Alexander Hanna, again, fair play to you for making that last-minute move to steal away top that fifth position. Mehdi Hamadani in sixth, Axel Ramone in seventh, Marius Pedersen in eighth, Adrian Portal in ninth, and Marion Bessier, our GT3 champion, right the way down here in 10th. Nobody expected to see him. Christian Malzera in 11th, Patrick Schindler 12th, Alexandra Lay, I told you I get it wrong, 13th, Jules Neal in 14th, Thomas Lydon in 15th, Nicholas Lemoyne in 16th, Artem Manisha in 17th, and Julien Haino did indeed retire. So we did have a GT3 retirement towards the end of the race. I don't think there's anyone's name I haven't got wrong, quite frankly. Fabio Grigoletto has the top spot in the hypercars. Sven Gilherd second, Marco De Bueno in third, Henri Gamble in fourth, Matthias Latau in fifth, with Yanni Simic sixth, Leonardo Pisoni in seventh, Arda Rochan in eighth, Johannes Price in ninth, Marco Cantor rounding out the top 10. Rafael Bida in 11th, Jimmy Menard in 12th, Maurice Ulrich in 13th, Dario Yamelo in 14th, Paul Puau, I think,
got it right.
in 15th. I'll get it wrong, but in 2 weeks' time, don't worry. Giuseppe Denoyer in 16th place, Michi Hoyer a few laps down in 17th. We lost early on, Brandon Geitz. Wow, absolutely brilliant. And we do have some of our drivers waiting to speak to us. So we have got Fabio Grigoletto, we have Luke Whitehead and Sven Gilherd in the waiting room. Let's have a chat. Before we chat to our winners, let's have a chat with the Dutch driver. Sven Gilherd, are you with us?
Hello, yes.
Well, that's a way to open the season.
Yeah, it is.
We had absolutely amazing fun watching it, but talk us through it from your side.
Yeah, well, I honestly didn't expect to drag this car up to a P2. I thought it would be overshadowed by Caddies and BMWs. But yeah, I mean, just staying out of trouble, keeping the consistency, not really, fighting too much. And here we are, P2. So yeah, pretty happy.
Superb stuff. So you're with Falcon this season. You're in the what prompted the choice of the Alpine? That's not been a common choice, but it's certainly done you well. It sadly didn't do your teammate awfully well, but or the sister car, but it served you perfectly well. What was the decision behind the Alpine?
Yeah, well, for the new update, it's kind of a roulette anyway for like BOP and how the cars are gonna stack up. And I was already driving this car in another championship, so I was like, yeah, why not just stick with it, you know? So yeah, that's why.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. So, last season you won out at Sebring. You were almost there this time around. Is there any particular tracks you're looking forward to this season?
Well, let me take a look at the calendar. Um, let's see here. Um, well, Power Card is not a favorite of mine, so next round, not a big fan, but Le Mans is always fun. Sebring is always fun. Spa's good as well, so let's see. Yeah, obviously
Well,
we don't know about the BOP yet.
true enough. But excellent, well-deserved podium on that one's fan. Any questions from you, Nathan?
No questions now. Just congratulations on the P2 Sven, and hopefully we'll see you back on the podium next summer, mate, in Paul Ricard.
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely true. Brilliant effort, Sven. We look forward to seeing you next time around. Thank you very much, Sven Gilhead.
Yep, have a good one.
We have also had Marco De Bueno make himself available. We will catch up with him very shortly. We only have one GT3 representative, so let's drag across our GT3 winner. And yes, we commentators love interrupting a conversation. Luke Whitehead, are you with us?
Hello. Yes. No, nothing important. I was just talking to my chat. They can wait 2 seconds.
I'm not even going to apologise, Luke Whitehead chat.
No need.
But
no need.
What a way to open the season. You obviously it's strange seeing you in non-Ferrari machinery, and two, your season last time around didn't start well, and Fuji was not kind to you last season. There must have been a lot running through your mind coming to the start line this time around.
Yeah, well, first off, good evening, everyone in the VMS stream. Good evening, all the staff, etc. Hope you guys enjoyed the race. But yeah, as you say, it's a stark contrast to what we had last season. What with everything going perfectly to plan this time, rather than the last one having pretty much a game exploding issue. And I must admit, I was a bit nervous about that happening again. What with my luck being traditionally quite bad, but fortunately, nothing like that happened, and we were able to. First race in Tatum Restech and first win. So very, very happy.
Understandably so. So it very much looked like, from our perspective, it was, get to the front and control the pace. Truth be told, we didn't see a lot of you because you just disappeared off into the sunset. Is that about what it felt like for you?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, getting into the leads was obviously the first Call of Duty for us. We managed to get there quite quickly. I think Alexi went a little bit deep under braking, and fortunately, we were able to get that position quite quick. And then it was all about just trying to build a bit of an advantage, a bit of a gap, and just hold that. Obviously, it's always quite difficult to know where you're at Fuji. Obviously, with the energy situation being quite, you can save quite a lot. And fortunately, we were able to save an extra lap to everyone else, which just meant that we had a pace advantage. We were able to pit later and able to see what everyone was doing on the strategy. So it just gave us that flexibility, really, to kind of dictate our race, with knowing that everyone else is going to not have the jump on us, I guess. So it just made the race a lot easier. And the Fords, I managed to get it in a very good window with the setup, with a lot of tweaking today. And happy that it all worked out and we were pretty untouchable for most of it.
Is there any particular round you're looking forward to this season?
Well, it was Fuji, honestly.
Nice.
Fuji's always been a pretty good track of mine historically. Le Mans is a pretty good track for me, although I'm not too excited for it in the Ford. I know the Ford's a bit of a pain to drive around there, but who knows? As I say, I think Le Mans is probably my strongest track overall. So I think if anyone could get the performance out of the Ford, I think it's myself. So, I was going to say we've put our best foot forward for the first race, so it makes the rest of the season a little less tense. So you know, we just got to keep with this momentum. You know, I've got a good team of guys around me now with the rest tech squads. So you know, and they've obviously finished first, third, and seventh in the other class as well. So we've had a really successful outing as a team, which is great. So yeah, couldn't be happier for everyone.
Awesome stuff. So you'll have to win the championship before Le Mans, then, is essentially what you're saying.
Well, I mean,
Fair
we'll
enough.
see, right? We'll see, right? That's the plan. You know, it'd always be nice to have a spare race, but you know, we'll see what happens. As I say, I know the grid's very strong. Obviously, Hubin, you know, made a mistake, I think, or had a hypercar crash into him. I'm not really sure what happened, but you know, he's very, very strong, and he, you know, technically won last season, so he's gonna be a massive threat. And obviously, the grid as well is very, very strong. So not underestimating anyone. So yeah, let's try and cook for the rest of the races just as much as we did today.
I will say, VMS chat and Luke Whitehead chat, I am not being held responsible if it doesn't happen. I am making that disclaimer now.
No, do you know what? I hope you realise that I will hold it completely on your head if it goes wrong, Chris.
You will not be the first one to have accused me of such things, Luke. I will say, I've been in the game long enough. Any questions from you, Nathan?
Yes, one quick question, of course. Good evening, Luke. Next time out, we head to Paul Ricard, a track that, well, I don't see that often anymore in league racing and in endurance racing. So what are your thoughts heading into the second round?
Well, in ACC, it was my favourite track. In NMU, I'm not quite finding the same flow, but I have drawn a few laps in the Ford there, and I felt very consistent and very comfortable. So we'll see. It's all about kind of, you know I can do my job. It's about where the other guys sit. So
Yeah.
you know, we'll see. I'm gonna, as I said, do the same thing I did this weekend. You know, prep the same way, and I think we should be okay. So yeah, just keeping our nose clean, especially around the hypercars, which is always a pretty contentious point in these multi-class races.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, Luke, well done on the win, and congratulations. So hopefully we'll see you back again next time in Paul Ricard. Have a good one, mate.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you very much, Luke Whitehead. Always a pleasure to chat to you, sir. Right, we do need to crack on and get the rest of the interviews done. Let us have a chat with another one of our Italian hypercar runners, Marco De Bueno. Are you with us?
Buonasera, guys.
Hello, Marco. It's wonderful to chat to you once again. Well, that's a way to open the season.
Yes. Bad quali, but the race was very strong. I expected the second stint. I struggled on the rear tires, but third position on the race. Great start for this season.
Absolutely true. Now, we understand your brother is also racing with us here in VMS. Have you and Mateus raced together in this kind of competition setting before?
No, I never race with him. Only on Le Mans here, but in different class.
Yeah, I understand that Matteo would be in GT3, but that would be quite fun. And I will get your names the wrong way round more than once if you two do share the track. I'm making that quite clear. But
Yes.
no, it's wonderful to see you with us again, Marco. I think it's fair to say your season last time around was a little bit mixed, but it's got to be a great feeling to start the season well in the BMW.
Yes.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Any questions, Nathan?
No questions from me, of course. Just congratulations on the podium, Marco, and hopefully we'll see yourself up there again as the season goes on.
Yes, very much look forward to that. Great stuff, Marco. Thank you very much, and congratulations on starting the season well. Thank you very much, Marco De Bueno.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
See you next time, indeed. Right, let us move on then to our race victor, our champion, Fabio Grigoletto. Are you with us?
Yes. Good evening, guys.
Wow, talk about starting as you mean to go on. That was fantastic. You've got to be so happy with that.
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty happy about the win. Starting the new season like the two before, will win, of course. So yeah, I'm pretty happy for me, from Luke, for Marco, and for Leo. I think we all have done a good race.
Now, you were in the Ferrari last time around. What prompted the change to the Cadillac?
I mean, I did the season 1 with the Cadillac, so I felt pretty comfortable. I also drove a bit the Caddy in the dailies on the special event, and always been one of the fastest with it, so it was a bit clear for me to choose the Caddy instead of the Ferrari that got big bop update.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I still remember you and Dario at Algarve last season is still one of my favorite battles. That was absolutely brilliant to watch last season around. But so we're at Paul Ricard next time out. Is that a track that works for you? Are you looking forward to that?
I mean, it's quite a new track. I think it's probably a bit more than a month that is in the game. I didn't really drive it much, but let's see how it goes with the Caddy.
Sure, sure. Any questions, Nathan?
Well, not a question, but a quick thing is, of course, last time out in the TRT Championship, you took a win there. So it seems that at the moment, Fabio, you're kind of one of the top guys in the hypercar class. I mean, is there any sort of rivals that you have at the moment? Because it seems like wherever we see you, you're out there taking a win.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of rival, like my teammates, and probably Sven is one of the strongest one. I think I really like Sven as a driver, and I really respect him.
Of course, and obviously we got lots of drivers in the hypercar class that are used in. I think we got most of the hypercars being used. Of course, we've got that upcoming time model change to see soon. I mean, how do you think that'll mix up the grid with all these different cars being used and all of them being affected in different ways by the new model?
Yeah, of course, everyone chooses their own car. Someone took a gamble, someone maybe not. I make my own choice as the race before goes, and choose the Caddy. Also, the V8 sound pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I do like the sound of the Cadillac indeed. Anyway, Fabio, congratulations on the win there for the first round, and of course, potentially on the way to your third championship if all goes well over the season. So hopefully we'll see you again next time in Paul Ricard. So have a good one, and thanks again for jumping in for an interview.
Thank you too, guys. Have a good night.
And you, thank you very much, Fabio Grigoletto, and a fantastic win, well deserved. And that is going to conclude festivities for tonight. Thank you very much to those that have been with us live and those catching up with us post-event. As you can see on screen, we head to Paul Ricard next time out in 2 weeks' time for the Platinum Split, but there's plenty of racing going on here at VMS in between then and now for our various other splits. So head over to our YouTube channel and catch up with the racing across those 2 weeks. Thank you very much, Nathan Richards, for joining me in the box. Your torment has come to an end for tonight, and you have borne it well, sir.
No, it's been fun. Enjoyed it. Heavily. It's nice to be back with you as well in the box, Chris. Of course, on a brand new game. For me, brand new grid of all different drivers. I think it was a really good night of racing. I think heading into the season, very excited to see what's going to go on. As it goes on.
Very, very true. And I share those sentiments. It has been good fun teaming up with you again, good sir. Thank you very much, Nicholas Domino, for controlling the cameras and not tormenting me by turning the overlay off this time. So, as mentioned, we will be back in 2 weeks' time here in Platt for Paul Ricard. We hope to see you there. Until next time, thank you very much and good night.